Hey there, friends. What's going on? Welcome. It's another one of our Slant Alpha adventures getting underway, although we are very, very Slant Lima mode this evening as we come at you live from Studio 5, just outside of Ocean City, Maryland, and we're a little bit kind of far away from that in the sim tonight. We're starting in Anchorage, Alaska. We're going to do a little Flying Wild Alaska Slant Lima style here in the PMDG 737-700 series. So, yeah, we're going to try our hand at a couple of the more challenging approaches that Alaska Airlines actually flies in this aircraft on a daily basis. As we start here in Anchorage, we're going to head down to Juneau, the state capital, and then we're going to continue on to Ketchikan. Now, I have never been to Anchorage, but I have had the chance to visit both Juneau and Ketchikan on an Alaskan cruise that my family and I did in, I'm going to take a stab here, 2018, I think it was, 2017. We boarded a cruise ship that's departed from Seattle, and our ports of call were Juneau first, and then I think we sailed through Glacier Bay, and then we stopped at Skagway, and actually I think so it was Juneau and then Skagway and then Glacier Bay, and then we stopped at Ketchikan on the way back down, and then stopped in Victoria, British Columbia, right before arriving back in Seattle. So that was a fantastic trip, and got a great opportunity to see a part of the world that really kind of felt foreign, even though it was part of the United States. It was a kind of a surreal experience to be, on these cruises. You go to the Caribbean islands, and you see these countries that are just very, very different from your culture. And you're like, wow, these people just really. My eyes were opened as to how differently the people there lived to the way I'm accustomed to living, and I think it was, enlightening. It allowed me a more global perspective on things. I had that same feeling in Alaska, even though I technically was still in the United States. It still felt like a very different culture, different environment, different style of living for sure. So we're going to fly in this region in the sim today, and as I mentioned, in the PMDG 737. We don't have any air traffic control coverage online in this area at the moment. Got some coverage in western Canada, but that won't be affecting us today, as we've got our route that's being plotted here on VATSIM radar, departing from Anchorage and then heading down the coast, basically, to Juneau here. We did get auto ATC message. This is something that you get in VAT USA now from the server that kind of simulates the U.S. National Airspace System. It just detects that there's not a controller, so it gives you a squawk code, and that way if a controller pops on later or you make your way into airspace that is controlled, you're already squawking your correct code, and it just saves the controller one additional step in getting you radar identified and providing you services. So, if you travel from one center's airspace to another center's airspace, typically you're already radar identified, you're already under positive control, so it's not really realistic to pass into a center's airspace en route and not already have that done. So this kind of, it's a compromise. It gives you at least that squawk code entered in so that the new center controller already has some idea who you are. Alright, the other thing to note about our route is that there's a little bit of weather on our departure path, and I was doing my flight planning a little early today. So this was the situation. It looked almost identical about an hour and a half ago, and I was like, well, maybe it'll have moved off to the east by the time we get there. Well, no, because it's not moving to the east. It's literally just not moving. So there it is. By the time we get to this point, NOEND, I think we'll be pretty high. We should be mostly above this weather system here, and it does look like we might be dodging the precipitation in our immediate vicinity, although if you look in the sim, it looks pretty cloudy and menacing here as we have fired up Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. So we do have some definite low cloud cover to pop through here, and then, like I said, hopefully before we hit that precip, we'll have been able to climb above it. First trip here is just over 520 miles, might be just a little bit, almost like an hour and a half en route time, and then the second trip will be a little bit shorter. So we'll get right to it, shall we, friends? Let's dive in. Into the aircraft we go. flow list up in front of me. Let's see, we got the ground power connected. Let's go to Flight Sim Actions and Ground Services. We already got the wheel chock set. Let's go ahead and request ourselves some ground power and ground air conditioning. Go back here. We'll get to the doors. We'll get the entry doors already open, but we'll get cargo and equipment hatches open. Let's go ahead and set our payload and fuel. For payload, I just hit random, but I always allow myself to hit random multiple times to get a reasonable random number rather than a ridiculously low random number like we've got there. And they're only getting worse. It's still getting worse. Okay, about 2/3 full. That's a little bit more realistic. So we'll go ahead and go with that. So let's go ahead, back up one. And then fuel, I calculate using a spreadsheet, and the method by which I do that is on a VATSIM tutorial that I have on my playlist called VATSIM Tutorials over on the YouTube channel. The link for that's going to be on the lower left-hand side of your screen. There it is. You want to check that out, feel free to do that. But I have calculated fuel load for both of these trips, 20,900 pounds to start. That's enough for both of these legs, plus alternates, reserves, and contingencies. So there we are. Our fuel load is set. All right, let's jump up top. Let's get the battery switch on. We're starting this aircraft from cold and dark, which is not very realistic. It's not often that you do that in this aircraft. You normally take it over from somebody, which is why I do the quick align on the IRS knobs rather than having to sit here for the 10 minutes. Get to that step in just a moment. So battery power, emergency lights, armed and guarded. Let's get the position lights to steady. Steady is downward. There we go. We got logo lights and wheel well lights we can put on. There's that. What do we got happening here? We've got Iowa Scotsman with the resubscription. 50-month resubscription. Iowa Scotsman. Thank you so much. That is amazing. That's over 4 years of subscribing to this channel, and we truly appreciate your continued support of it. Thank you so much. Good to see you here, by the way. All right, ground. Position lights steady. Logo lights, wheel well lights on. Let's get the ground power engaged here. And then up top, we can do the IRS knobs to align. Now, like I said, in the real world, this is going to take about 10 minutes. It's a little shorter if you're at the position near the equator. It's a little longer if you're at a position far from the equator. So it would be a little longer today as we're all the way up into the far northern reaches of the United States. But for our purposes, it's going to take 30 seconds, as I mentioned, since chances of us actually taking this aircraft over from cold and dark is slim to none in the real world. So after about 30 seconds, that should flash over into, it should just flash into align mode there, in which case we'll kick them over into nav mode, and then they'll continue to flash in that regard until we get our flight management computers aligned with the inertial reference system inputs. But there we go. We're done with that. We can go ahead and get the yaw damper on now that we got the inertial references on as well. I think that's all we have to do there. We'll go ahead and grab ourselves. We don't have an ATIS information here, but we can get a METAR at PANC. And we can see that it's 3603, so it seems like we're going to want to take off northbound. Well, that's good. The departure procedure that we have, the NOEND, or no, this is the Juneau 6. NOEND 4, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm looking at Juneau. I gotta be looking at Anchorage. The NOEND 4 rather, an RNAV departure, that's only good if you're taking this northbound runway, so it's good that we're going to want to use that anyway based on the wind direction. So that is that. We're going to set our initial to flight level 200. 230 until passing life. We need to make sure that that's in the FMC properly. But that departure runway seems like it'll work based on the wind. Altimeter setting 29903. Go ahead and get that set over here on the main panel. 29903. That's only one notch up from where it is now. Okay. Alright, so we've got our METAR observation. We would obtain our clearance, but there's no clearance to obtain. There's nobody to obtain it with. right now. We'll go ahead and set our comm radios. I guess the other thing I could do while I'm looking at VPilot is, what is the common traffic advisory frequency for Anchorage? 18.3. So that's the frequency that we'll transmit our intentions on at first, 118.3. And then as our en route advisory frequency, it'll be 122.8. So this is the frequency to use at the airport and in the immediate vicinity of the airport. And down here we'll be on 22.8 for en route advisories and coordination. So we'll be ready to switch to that. On the other side, though, we're going to be just monitoring 121.5, monitoring the guard frequency, and that way the center controller should pop up. They would have an opportunity to be able to raise us and let us know that they are indeed there. So we'll monitor 1 and 2, but we'll transmit and receive on 1. And yeah, so that is appropriately reflected in our VPilot pipe. Okay, comm radios are set, altimeter's set. Let's go ahead and get the box programmed with our routes. The very first thing we need to do is initialize our position. We'll go to the next page. We'll see what the two, we got a little bit of a discrepancy between our two GPSs here. Last reported position was 59.1, so we'll go ahead and grab that one and we'll pop it in here. We will then switch over to our route page. Our origin is PANC. Our destination is PAJN. Yep, okay, didn't mean to put that back into the scratch pad like that, so we'll delete that. Let's go to the departures and arrivals. Departures from Anchorage. It is going to be the NOEND 4. The only runway available that's valid for that departure is runway 33. There's no transition, it just goes to the point NOEND. So we go ahead and put that there. So NOEND 4 to NOEND. And what's the rest of our route? It's JOH, I forget the name of that VOR, but we'll put that there. And it's J501, which is a jet airway. So via J501 to Yak, which is Yakutat. We've done some bush flying up there with our friends Melvin, Leroy, and Downwind Sim. J501 to Yak, and then J541 Bergs, BERGS. Then I think it cuts off in my planning spreadsheet, so I need to go back to another page to see the rest of that. Oh, and then it's just the point Cushy, C-U-S-H-I. Not Ushi. Cushy. D-U-S-H-I. Yonder. And then for our arrival into Juneau, we don't quite know what they're going to be arriving at in Juneau, but we can take our educated guess here and put that all into the FMC. And then if we have to change that when we get closer, either air traffic control pops on and assigns us something different, or the weather changes and we decide to do something different, we can go ahead and go with that. But it's 280 at 6, so it looks like if we got an east-west runway there, we're going to want a westbound approach. And, well, we don't have a... We have an LDA to runway 8 and an RNAV to runway 8. So I guess let's take a look at that. We have the opportunity to circle to runway 26. It's not that bad of a tailwind. Circling to 26, not applicable at night. Circling, not applicable north. So if we are going to circle, we would have to circle south and enter our left downwind for runway 8. So it will be daytime when we're there. But we can plan to do the ILS for runway, the LDA X-ray to runway 8 with a circle for runway 26. What's the RNAV look like? Would that be a better option? Not really. It just kind of accomplishes the same thing. slightly different approach path. They're both kind of offset to the runway, which is why it's not called an ILS, it's called an LDA, because of this direction change you have to make before you touch down. So yeah, I guess we'll just plan the LDA. Seems like it's going to be comparable either way. Plan the LDA, and then we will, we'll plan to do a circle and land on 2.6, even though it's only an 8-knot tailwind. But we can challenge ourselves to do that just for the sake of the challenge. And then let's go ahead and get the airport diagram up there. So we got all our charts kind of already ready to go. We got the airport diagram, we got the departure procedure, we got the approach that we're planning on for right now. Again, a controller could come on later and tell us that we need to do that RNAV. So we'll just put this in for now, and then we'll change plans later if we need to. And then there's our airport diagram. Okay, anyway, so back to what we were doing. After Cushy, it looks like it's going to be the departures that are arrivals into Juneau. No stars. We are going to do the LDA X-ray to 8. And does not look like we need any of those transitions. Which transition do we want? We want really just the furthest one out. Actually, we can do it from Bergs, because Bergs is in our route. We can do Bergs, and then we can just forget about Cushy. We'll just do Bergs, and then we'll delete Cushy, and then we'll pick up the approach from there. So yeah, let's do that. Let's do the transition from Bergs. Put that in the route. Yeah, see J541 the Bergs, and then direct Cushy. So let's just delete Cushy. Alright, well, let's activate it and execute it. And we'll delete it from the legs page, that's fine. So performance initialization, the cost index will be 74, because why not? Reserves that I have calculated for this first leg here is 5.9. To get us to... what did I put down as our alternate for this one? Question, was it Petersburg? PAPG? Yeah, Petersburg. So 5.9 will get us there. Zero fuel weight, we'll double click, it'll auto-calculate. I had said 370 for our altitude, and so that's good. We'll execute that. And one limits, if I was a real-world airline captain, it would be my responsibility to select a lower takeoff thrust setting or a lower climb setting if it was safe for me to do so without, if it was safe for me to do so without compromising safety of the aircraft. However, I have no interest in saving fuel and wear and tear on this aircraft, so I'm not going to worry about that. Go to the takeoff page. We're going to use the flaps 5, center of gravity. We'll populate in. 6.37 is going to be the trim, which we'll set a little later on. B speeds for this trip. Leg number 1 here, 125 is our abort speed, so if we have any safety critical issues occur prior to reaching 125, we will abort the takeoff. If we reach 125, we are continuing airborne with whatever problems we have at that time, and we'll rotate 3 knots later at 128. We have 2 functioning engines, we'll pitch to maintain 135. If we have 1 functioning engine at that point, we'll pitch to maintain 135. We got 2 good engines at that point. We'll pitch to maintain 155. We get up to 1,000 feet. We'll track the flaps knot and evaluate our options from there. Okay, are we good? Let's jump up to the mode control panel. Get those values dialed in. The B2 plus 20 we said was 155. The initial heading off of the runway is a 329, but then we are going to start in LNAV mode because we are going to just direct ourselves to that point Jazz. Actually, I pronounced those letters all in the wrong order, but there you go. EK Kaj. Alright, so 329 is the initial heading, but we're only going to fly that for just a few seconds. 329. We did say the initial altitude is flight level 200, but we do have some intermediate crossing restrictions we have to make sure are represented in the FMC. Auto throttle, flight director. Flight director Get that second click spot there. That'd be handsome. Okay. That's not what I'm trying to click. I'm trying to click that. Okay, there we are. So we are going to start in LNAV and VNAV. Okay, so that's done. RTO would be selected. And then we can jump down here. Oh, we can do the map modes. Yeah, this looks like a pretty good tactical view of our position there. We can maybe go... Yeah, let's put it where it was. I like seeing the detail on that path there. We can go traffic and data. Alright, and then let's get the transponder code that Auto ATC gave us, which was what now? 2316. Almost a kidney monster there. That's a 2319 right now. This is a 2316, and we'll go ahead and put that up into transponder. Alright, so before we get rolling, we got two things to do. First of all, we are deleting this point Cushy. And then Bergs connects with Bergs. And execute that. And then back to the previous page, we did have some route verification to do on the standard departure. EG CAD at 3,000 or above. Life at 230 or below. In terms of speed. Outer 6,000 or above. Craft at 8,000 or above. Just reading these off of the chart, by the way. Here's the 230 or below in terms of speed. Altitude 6,000 or better, 8,000 or better, 10,000 or better, and 12.8 or better. There. And it's just going to climb at its best rate. These being in here means that it's just going to throw a message, an error message for our situational awareness if we're not going to be able to make those. In which case we would have to advise air traffic control, and they would have to probably vector us away from some terrain or from some arrival path that we will be conflicting with if we didn't get high enough. The rest of that's just our en route, so we are good to go. JJ is here. How's it going, JJ? Alright, so the FMC is done, the mode control panel's done, map range is done, transponder's done. Let's go ahead and get all the doors and hatches closed. We're right on time for a 7:35 pushback. So let's get to the menu and the FS actions and the ground services. And nope, back. Let's go to the doors. We'll go ahead and close the entry door. Close, and close. And let's jump up top here and get our seatbelt signs on. The left inner fuel pump on. APU can be turned on and started. Our parking brake should be set already, but let's verify that it is before we do anything silly. Oh, nope, it's not. There we are. Then before we do anything silly like get rid of our chocks, let's make sure we got the parking brake set. Go ahead and get window heat on. Set our pressurization, so we're going to be at 37,000. Landing altitude at Juneau, it's pretty low. Pretty close to sea level, just 50 feet, round figure. That's done. The APU is still spooling up. Yeah, Energy Urban says Flights in 2020 is VATSIM. Yeah, so VATSIM's compatible with a whole bunch of different sims. And I think one of the very pervasive myths about it is that you see a different set of people depending on which sim you're on. You don't. Everybody that's on VATSIM sees everybody else, regardless of whether you're on P3D or FSX or Flights in 2020 or 2024 or X-Plane 11, X-Plane 12. Everybody sees everybody, regardless. So we got the pressurization set. APU buses can now come on. APU bleed is ISO valve's already open. APU bleed can come on, and the packs can come on. CB Flyers here. Good to see you. Let's go ahead and disconnect our ground power and wheel chocks and ground AC. We can actually just go to ground services, and we throw off the line, it'll automatically, throw off the chocks, it'll automatically throw off the lines there. And let's give a real quick passenger briefing. Greetings from the flight deck, and welcome aboard Alaska Flight 514 with service to Juneau. We expect to be pushing back here in about 2 minutes, and wheels up time is expected to be about quarter till the hour. We should be mostly on time for you today. Flight time, once we are airborne, 1 hour 27 minutes. We'll be cruising at 37,000 feet for you. We've got some low cloud cover here at Anchorage, so we do expect it might be a little bit bumpy during the climb out. We've got a line of precipitation to our east. We think we will be above that line of precipitation, so we should be over the worst of the weather, and hopefully we'll find some nice smooth air to cruise in for you at 37,000 feet today. But just might want to tighten that seatbelt one extra notch for us just on the initial climb as we come through that low cloud layer. Otherwise, smooth sailing, hopefully, and we will give you an update on the weather situation once we get up to cruise. But for right now, sit back, relax, and enjoy. And thank you again for flying with us on Alaska Airlines Flight 514 service to Juneau. Up top we go. Anti-collision light can come on. Wheel well light can come off. The igniters, we're going eastbound. Let's set that to the right. Rest of the fuel pumps can come on. Do we have any in the center tank? Good question. We do have a tiny little bit in the center tank, so we'll get those center fuel pumps on as well. Electric hydraulic pumps can come on as well. And then let's get our pushback set to go. Pre-plan that. We're at gate C4. That is dynamite. Push facing south. Enter. Press pushback. Let's take a peek out of the cockpit just to make sure there's nobody around that we're going to conflict with. And then, is this a named taxiway that we're pushing back onto here, or is this a ramp lane? Yeah, it looks like this is just a ramp lane here. So Echo is way out to our west, so we don't need to call anybody for push just yet. Let's go ahead and release our parking brake. And away we go. We will start on the number 2 side. Let's get our pack off. Let's get our ground start on. And let's start watching some engine parameters. Wish you could control the PMDG's FMS from a separate window like you can with the Phoenix. That's a neat feature, although I don't know I would use it. But if you have like a lot of ancillary screens, kind of a virtual cockpit, a little more elaborate than what I have, then that would be a really cool thing to be able to do. All right, we got fuel introduced at about 20% N2, and we got movement on the N1. We do have the Boris Audio Works sound pack, by the way. What's better, 20 or 24? Well, it depends on what your priorities are. Visuals are better in 24. Stability is better in 20. And a lot of the higher-end add-ons, like this aircraft, are not yet compatible with 2024. So it really depends on what your biggest buttons are as to which one you should get. All right, number 2 is looking good. Go ahead and get the generator on and get the pack back on. Get the left-hand pack off and left-hand ground start going. Candy Monster is here. Alright, we got the engine spooling up. There's 10, 11, 12. Once it gets up to about 20, we'll pull some fuel in. And with that, it appears. Okay, fuel coming in. Pop Charlie is here. So yeah, JJ says I'm flying the Max 8, which is that iFly. JJ, the developer called iFly for that one, the Max 8 in 2024. Butter smooth frames, yeah. So that's one thing that people say that the performance optimization is better in 2024. So I'm getting close to the point where I'll probably switch over. I haven't yet. Getting close. I think once this aircraft is available for both sims, I think that'll do me in for sure. So get the pack back on, generator on. We can now get the isolation valve auto and the APU bleed off and the APU off, since we are now supplying electricity from the engines and air conditioning from the engines. We're good. Alright, let's do some ramp checks. We'll just do our control surfaces. Really, we're not really looking for the yoke movement. We're looking for control surface movement. I've looked around for that status screen so that we can see the control surfaces from electronic readout in here. And I found it in the menu, but it still doesn't activate this button up here that allows you to select it. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. NRG PMDG is a aircraft add-on developer. A very, 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 very good one. Let's go ahead and get takeoff flaps set to 5. Takeoff trim, what did we say it was? 6.7 or 6.3? Go back to the init ref. Oops. N1 limit and takeoff ref. 6.3. It was one of those. .3. Oh, by the way, you know, one thing I didn't do. We could do this. We could do this later, but I'm going to do it now. Oh, wait a minute. Did I not put the... Okay, that's strange. I'm going to have to check and see what I did with the approach there. Anyway, we'll go to the legs page. We'll check on the approach in a little bit. What am I doing here? Take off flaps, take off trim. Get the probe heat up and running. And we'll do our config check. Let's release our parking brake. I have trouble doing that. Yes, I know that I have to hold the foot brakes to do it. It doesn't work. So you end up having to do it through the pushback menu for some dumb reason, but there we go. But now that we've done that, we'll spin the throttles up a little bit, and if we don't hear anything go bonk, 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 that means our config check is passed. So we're good to go. We got no warnings on the master warning. Alright, for taxi out. And we got the follow there moments ago from NRG. Very good. Appreciate that. Hope that you'll stop back and see us. Tuesdays and Fridays evenings are the usual broadcast days, 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. So we're going to runway 33, so short taxi. We'll go southbound Echo, and then Golf, and then Kilo. Anchorage traffic. Alaska 514, 737 leaving the ramp area. On a runway 33 via Golf and Kilo. Anchorage. Alright, brake check. Brakes are good. Taxi light can come on. So out here we should be joining taxiway Echo, looking around for other traffic. See somebody parked up there but nobody moving. I guess we're okay. And then let's see if we can pick up taxiway sign and figure out where we're at, because we might be coming out kind of close to Golf right here. Might be Golf. Yeah, this is Golf straight ahead of us. So we'll go. Minimum departure fuel for leg 1 is 13.7. We got plenty because we're fueled for both legs. We got 20.8, so we're fine there. So is this kilo that we're coming up on now? Yeah, it must be. Yep, it is. Alright, so we're coming up on the beginning of runway 33 here. Looks like we are going to be number 1 for departure, so we'll go ahead and alert our cabin crew. Go ahead and get our EA and RA. Go ahead and get the weather radar, the rain radar. Comm radios are indeed set. Continuous ignition can be turned on. Go ahead and say cabin crew is reported secure. We have traffic out there? Yeah, looks like we might have a little bit of traffic out there. Anchorage traffic. Alaska 514 is a 737 departing 33. Going to be IFR eastbound turnout from Anchorage. Okay. Good. All forward-facing lights can come on, and the strobe lights on. TA and RA we already did. Ordinarily, you'd put your throttles a little bit forward and check for any engine vibrations and warnings. However, when I do that and then I go to toga and then I pull those sticks back down, it kind of weirds things out. So I'm going to weirds things out. So I'm going to just presume I've done that. We'll just go straight to toga once we're lined up here. All right, 3-3 is confirmed. Lined and gone. Auto throttle kicked off right now. No, why is it not? There's something I didn't execute. Okay. We'll manually set our takeoff power there.
Airspeed live.
We got some bumpy runway issues here.
V1. Rotate.
Okay, rotate. Positive rate gear coming up. Pitch to maintain the V2 plus 20. Okay, get the autopilot on. For 1,000, we can go ahead and start retracting flaps. Anchorage traffic, Alaska 514 clear, runway 33. It's an IFR eastbound turnout. Anchorage. Okay, flaps coming up. Saw that there was some other traffic. Let's see if we see them on the TCAS. I don't. I'm assuming we're going to be okay here. I'm going to zoom the map out just a little bit. Better view of what's going on around us. And we're 230 knots until that point life. So it's keeping that for us. Flaps are retracted. Post takeoff, we can go auto brake cancel, gear handle center, and continuous ignition off. I'll go ahead and switch over to en route advisories. Still no air traffic control in this area. Done with the airport diagram. Now following this departure procedure, so 230 knots until life. And 6,000 or higher by outer, I think we're going to be okay for that. We're probably above that already. Yep, we are. We do have some weather, but it's all, you know, light and then some moderate precip there.
Man, happy Tuesday.
So we're
Here's
okay.
For 2 incredible months. Currently waiting for you in Juneau at Gate 3 and going to be joining you as Ace at 258 on the next one. And I also added you as a friend on VATSIM rate.
Dogs3447 subscribed and sent a paragraph. Dogs, we really appreciate the support of the channel. Sounds like you're going to join us for leg 2, if I understood you correctly. So that's going to be awesome. We'll see you down there. Let me just double check and make sure I got everything done. After departure, continuous ignition, flaps and gear are up and neutralized. Auto brakes off. Okay. Coming through 10,000 now. We can do our first cabin pressure check. Up top, cabin pressure. Yeah, the differential pressure should be about a third of the way up through its range, and it is. And cabin altitude 1,000 and climbing at a normal rate. So there. Also through 10, we can get forward-facing lights off, and we can release our cabin crew. Like we've got some heavier precipitation there, so we'll see what that's going to look like if we hopefully climb above it. Picking up some speed, and then we should be picking up some altitude again. Hopefully we'll climb above the heavy returns. If not, if we had air traffic control on, we could request a deviation to the left to kind of go around the worst of that. We have to watch the terrain though, right? Got terrain in this area too to watch. Almost up to our climb speed of 313 or whatever. Yep, 313. Once we hit 313, you'll see our climb rate will begin to take off again. Knock the map range down just a little bit. Watch it make this turn. Let's see what happens as we continue to gain altitude. If that red band stays ahead of us, then we'll make a deviation to the left. At this point, that's only 10 miles ahead, so at this point you'd say departure on Alaska 514. We got some severe weather ahead of us. Are we able to deviate, say, about 50 degrees left for weather? And if there's no traffic over there that you're going to conflict with, and there's no terrain over there you're going to conflict with, then yeah, they'll say, okay, yeah, so fly about a 040 for right now, and then let me know when you're able to go direct to JOH or whatever they would send us to down the line. So let's go ahead and select the heading. To the left we go. And now again, I don't know what their minimum vectoring altitudes are in that area, so I'm going to make sure I'm not putting myself into a mountain here. I don't see any red spots on the terrain. Got red spots on the weather that we're avoiding, but no red spots on the terrain. Kirk Angel is here. Kirk Angel, welcome. Good to see you. Welcome to the channel. All right, we're through 18,000, so we got another pressure check to do. We'll come up top. We'll see that our differential pressure is about 2/3 of the way up to the range now, and the cabin altitude is at about 2,500, still climbing at a normal level. So we're good there. And we can now go to standard pressure on our altimeter setting. Instead of the locally calibrated pressure, we go to standard pressure. That also is the moment where you go from saying things like altitude is 17,000 to flight level 180. And when you say flight level, that insinuates, and we can presume that we've been cleared up to our cruise altitude, by the way. We don't have to level off at that initial on the SID. We'll just go ahead and presume that we've been given a clearance to keep on going up. Okay, so at this point, looks like we're above the worst of that weather, so we should be able to go direct now. So yeah, departure, we are, Alaska 514, we're above the weather now. We're able to proceed direct NOEND. Okay, direct NOEND is fine. Proceed, Alaska 514, proceed direct NOEND is requested. So there we go, and we'll go back into LNAV mode, and there we go. Put the heading bug over there just in case. You know, notice I wasn't doing a good job of updating the heading bug to our present heading, but when I needed to make that turn, the heading bug was just like all askew, and it took me those few extra seconds to get it aligned with where I needed it. So if you're ever bored, that's one thing that is a real good habit to be in, is to keep that heading bug kind of aligned with where you are, so that if you suddenly get a vector for traffic, a vector for weather, a vector for terrain, you're able to respond quickly and not just have the plane going off in some random direction while you're working on fixing it. So I didn't do a good job of that this time, but at least, you know, sometimes on this channel we learn what not to do. Bear with me for 1 second. Get through the phone. I'm not missing anything. Alrighty. Guys, if you're new to the channel, we do a mix of flying and VATSIM air traffic control on this channel. We almost always are connected to the VATSIM network. Oh, we're breaking through that cloud. Alright, that's good. Almost always connected to the VATSIM network, as we are tonight. So we do a mix of flying on VATSIM and controlling on VATSIM, mostly flying. And you don't typically see us, for those of you brand new to the channel, you don't typically see us in a modern airliner like this 737-700, the NGX series. Most of what we do, and the roots of the channel, are based on that old school style of radio-based navigation. That's what slant alpha means. We do now, however, fly a mix of old and new. Our main aircraft are the A2A Simulations Piper Command Sheet, which we fly only through that old school style of navigation. We fly the PMDG DC-6. That's what we're going to fly for you on Friday, the old 4 radial engine vintage prop liner. We fly the BAE-146 from Just Flight, so that we have the UNS-1, which is an ancient RNAV system, ancient flight management system that doesn't have quite the capability with all these fancy screens that this airliner does. So it's a little bit of a primitive RNAV-capable aircraft, but it is technically RNAV-capable, so it does not meet the original spec of the channel. And then this here is the PMDG 737 700 series. And we're flying for you today. So this is the one truly modern airliner that we do fly for you regularly. A little bit of rain there, that we do fly for you regularly on the channel. And so that's what we're flying for you today. I think I can go ahead and go back to a wider view here. Yeah, the more we climb, the more hopefully the yellow returns will go away as we gain altitude and get above that stuff. Hopefully get to a point where we're not in danger of flying through the worst of those precipitation cells. You can kind of see we're hitting the cloud tops here. Higher we climb, we got another 9,000 feet to go. 9,000 feet up, we should be above the worst of this, hopefully. And if not, we'll ask for another deviation, and then we'll get ourselves back on course later. We're done with this. We're not quite out to the point NOEND, but we're well above that 12.8, so we're pretty good in terms of what we need there. This is the LDA to runway 8. Now this is what I was asking. I don't have, normally I'd have a fix for the runway in the FMC and I didn't see it. What's the last one we get here? CGL is the last fix we have, and that's 3 miles from the threshold. So yeah, I think, you know, let's just pretend that we're asking our VATSIM air traffic controller for another left turn for deviation here. Let's see. What would it be called? Anchorage Center, Alaska 514. We're able to get about 30 degrees left for weather, and yeah, go ahead, fly a 080 for now. Advise when you're able to go direct to Castle. Okay, 080 for now, and we'll advise on Castle, Alaska 514. So again, just trying to keep ourselves out. Yeah, I got to do my own today, dogs. There's nobody on to do it for us. So you can kind of see on VATSIM radar if you want to see. You know, this was the first weather deviation that we did, and now we're about to do another one. And then we'll point ourselves back down to this point, Castle, when we're able to. But I try to talk through what the calls would sound like, dogs, just so that people who are looking to this channel for some instruction on maybe how to get on VATSIM would know, well, what would I say to air traffic control in that situation if I needed to? Now they've got, you know, kind of an example of how they might be able to request that. Just, I mean, basically it's plain language. You just ask them, hey, can we, you know, it looks like we might need about such and such to avoid some weather. Are we able to get that? And they'll either tell you yes, or they'll tell you no, or they'll tell you, well, I can't do that, but can you do this? You know, it's kind of a negotiation. Sorry guys, gotta keep checking on something on the phone here. Dog says, are we landing 8 or 26? Well, we were talking about that earlier. The wind favors 8. I mean, I'm sorry, the wind favors 26. PAJN. The wind favors 26, but it's only 6 knots. But there aren't any approaches to 26, so we would have to do that as a circling approach. So if we're going to do that as a circling, we've got higher, no, and actually the no higher would have been 3,200 either way. And, by the way, if the minimum is 3,200, what's the view at 45? So we should be good there. Whew. And it says you can't do that at night. It will be daytime for us when we get there. Circling north is not allowed. Not applicable and not allowed, however you want to read that. So our plan for right now, dogs, is to shoot the LDA and then do the circling maneuver. And people get confused about that if they haven't done it before. You don't have to literally fly in a circle. It just means that you would do some sort of a maneuver, and it really ends up looking basically like a standard pattern entry. So we're going to end up on a left downwind, left base, and then a left turn on the final for runway 8. Okay, and that is obviously that's south of the airport, and that's fine because it says circling not allowed north of the airport. But we're doing it south of the airport on that left-hand pattern, so that'll be fine. So that's our plan, and then we'll reevaluate that plan once we get a little closer. It'll be a great example of, hey, sometimes you can't just do this entire thing with pushing buttons. Sometimes you actually have to grab the U-shaped thingy and move it around in order to do what you need to do. So we got a master caution for fuel. All it's really telling us is that the center tanks are now empty. We can jump up top, cut the center fuel pumps off, come back down. We should see that that warning is now cleared, and it is. All right, so it looks like, man, it still looks like we're. It looks like we've got a little bit of weather to get around here. And it looks like we got a little bit of heavy returns at Castle. Well, let's go direct Castle for now. So, Anchorage Center, Alaska 514, we're able to direct Castle for now. We might need a right-hand deviation once we get closer to it, but for right now, we're able to direct Castle, and we'll let you know for further. Okay, that's fine. Alaska 514, proceed direct Castle. All right, direct Castle, Alaska 514. So we'll take Castle, we'll paste it up in the top, execute, and then we'll go back into LNAV. And if we get a little closer to it, and we're 50 miles out from now, get a little closer to it. If we see that those red returns are still there, we'll ask them for maybe a right-hand deviation to get around it that way. So we'll evaluate when we get there. In the meantime, we're also arriving at our cruise altitude. We can go ahead and turn our seatbelt signs off for now. Let's do one final cabin pressure check. We should see that the cabin altitude's sitting now at about 8,000, and it's starting to level off. And the differential pressure is still below the red line, but right up near it, and that's normal. Once you get up to cruise altitude, that is indeed what it should be doing, so we are good to go there. Heisenberg is here. What's going on, Heisenberg? Alright, so we're heading to that point Castle, and then when we get closer, we'll see. Oh, look, we got Anchorage Center online. 132.3. Excellent. Okay, good news. So they could have tried to raise us on the guard frequency. They chose to do the old school way. 132.3. We'll swap that in. And so now, if we need to deviate once we get to Castle, you can actually hear what that'll sound like. Juneau doesn't have a CTAF? Yeah, they should. It might not be in the AIP, but they should. But at this point, with Center online, it shouldn't matter. Anchorage Center, Alaska 514 is flight level 370. Just FYI, we're direct Castle at this time. We had to deviate left of our filed path for weather.
Alaska 514, Anchorage Center, self-authorized, and roger.
We hit the IDAT for you, Alaska 514. Okay, so they just sent us a private message that said, hey, please come up on my frequency, so we did that. Yeah, we are at level 370.
Alright, 514, roger.
Okay, so CTAF,
Charlie Golf, Uniform
PAJN. Okay, so it's not in the AIP. That just means that somebody forgot to put it in there. If we look on the chart, we can see that it's 118.7, so that's what we would use. But at this point, it's now become a moot point because we have Anchorage Center that is going to be working that tower all the way down to the ground. So,
Charlie Golf, Uniform Alpha, Bravo, radar contact, 12 miles
Passing 15000 Charlie Eagle, uniform Bravo.
Okay, and it looks like now the red indications have dissipated, so I'm not going to worry about any further deviations for now. Go ahead and pop the weather range up a little bit, so the map range up a little bit. Looks like after we get past that should be the worst of it for now. Go ahead and get the heading bug centered on our present heading for now, just in case we do need a vector of some sort. But anyway, dogs, did you catch that about the CTAF? It is on the chart, even though it's not. It didn't get entered. But at this point, we're just going to be talking with center anyway. And again, you can kind of see we did a left deviation and then back to NOEND for weather. Then we did a left deviation and now back to Castle for weather. So that's what it looks like on the track. And then again, you just have to literally just ask your controller, hey, it looks like we need this. Can we get that or something like it? And then they say yes or this in. All right, well, let's start looking at that LDA and make sure that I have it selected in the FMC properly. The departures, arrivals, it is the LDA X-ray to 8 that's active. All right, well, let's go to the legs page then. After Bergs, $7,000 or above at SSR.
Center, good evening.
And this is 39 miles, so it's not to scale.
Information.
And then 5,600
requesting permission taxi
to Linz, and then from Linz into CGL, and then
Red Douglas, November 434 Tango Alpha, Anchorage Center.
and then CGL's 3 miles from the threshold.
Alright, 38 Kilo, Anchorage, Douglas 4 Tango Alpha.
Alaska 65,
And then if we
radar contact 23
need to
miles
go missed,
north of the level island VOR. What's your waypoint? Are you joining the RNAV Bravo?
hold at SSR 5,600. Okay, so it is a right-hand turn if we go missed. However, if we circle to runway 26, then it's going to end up being kind of a straight out.
Cross resto at or above 5,600.
The reason I'm kind of freaking out about this is what normally I like to do a fixed ring around the runway point, but there is no runway point because this is a circling approach that ends on a 3-mile final. So I'll just go PAJN as our fix, and we'll put a 4-mile ring around that and a 10-mile ring around that. That'll give us some situational awareness about the airport.
Bravo, radar contact lost.
Alright, we can do a quick update, by the way, to our passengers. Greetings from the flight deck with an update. We've reached our cruise altitude of 37,000 feet. We've turned off the fasten seatbelt signs. The cabin crew is going to come around with a fine selection of Red Bull products. And do you know what the dinner service is for tonight? I don't know. Juneau? Let's sit back and relax and enjoy our dinner service, and we will give you an update on the weather situation in Juneau once we start our descent. Thanks again for flying with us on Alaska Airlines Flight 514 service to Juneau.
Douglas 4 Tango Alpha, Anchorage information, X-ray current, altimeter 2994.
Kingfish is here. Yes, that's the point of it. That's the point of the joke. That's what the icon says. little screenshot fodder for you. Well, all right, let's get the drone camera facing someplace sensible. Not a lot of beautiful Alaskan terrain to show you, but at least we can see that. Oh, a little bit up there. Kind of blends in with the clouds, actually. There you go. There's your nice screenshot. Fortunately, I drive the plane slightly better than I drive the drone cam.
Douglas 4 Tango Alpha, upon departure, flight heading 300, wind calm, runway.
Alright, on departure, flyer heading 300, Douglas 4 Tango Alpha.
Charlie Golf Uniform Alpha Bravo, radar contact lost yet again. Alaska 65, no traffic observed between you and the field. Report IFR cancellation or missed approach.
So 2997 is the altimeter. We can kind of get that preset here. One thing I like about this aircraft is you can kind of do that pre-armed altimeter setting, so we can just bump it into that once we start our descent. In terms of the weather situation, few clouds at 4,500, so we should be okay for that 3,200.
Proceed direct birds. Actually, redirect to or redirect to Ketchikan?
Yeah, right now we're direct Yakutat, but we can go Bergs if you want.
Alaska 514, roger, proceed direct birds.
Direct Bergs, Alaska 514. Okay. Shortcut a little bit. We'll center up the heading bug. All right. So in terms of the weather situation there, what are we telling our passengers? Temperature's 20, which is what, 68 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that. 2997. We got light winds, partly cloudy skies. 68 degrees. Okay. That's not too bad. And just to be ahead of the game, again, the controller might want us to do the RNAV rather than the LDA, so I don't know. But we can do the LDA. We'll set up for the LDA, and then if we end up having to change, we'll change. But for right now, let's hop down here, get the radio set up. So the frequency is 109.9. Missed approach frequency is the missed approach is
FedEx 3117, increasing your frequency.
Oh, interesting. Direct SSR or EEF NDB. Let's just do SSR. So if we do SSR, it's a 347 on 114.0.
Douglas 4 Tango Alpha 1 able to altitude passing.
114.0.
1,900, Douglas 4 Tango Alpha.
Douglas 4 Tango Alpha.
Of course, on the
16,000.
Of course, on the main approach is 071. And of course, on the missed approach is a 347. A weird missed approach altitude. Missed approach altitude is 5,600, so 5,600. 7 times 8 is 56. I don't know how it's. I don't know if that'll help me remember it, but maybe it will. So approach frequency and course is set. Missed approach frequency and course is set. Missed approach altitude is reviewed. We got the FMC reviewed, legs and altitudes and missed approach are all in there correct. V speeds we haven't done yet. Actually, over here we can just hit something like the progress page, I guess. Yeah, let's go ahead and do our laps 30 and 133, and with a less than a 10 knot winds, it's just going to be a 5 knot additive, so 133, 138. And then our minimums of 3,200. That's going to take a good while to get up there. Ceiling we talked about, 3,200 is the minimum. Ceiling is going to be 4,500 above ground level. That should be close to it, close to sea level. Wind is going to be about a 6 knot, more or less straight headwind if we do the circle to 2.6. And then I'll run through the rest of that approach briefing. I gotta check some things on the chart before I can do the rest of that approach briefing, but I'm still trying to spin the minimums up there.
Anchorage Center, Air Canada,
3,200 is that. We're getting there.
Air Canada 1, Anchorage Center, squawk 5703, 5703, and IDIT.
Okay, 3,200 minimum sets.
Air Canada 1, it'll be 5703, 5703.
And then if we circle the 2.6, it's a right-hand turn off. And we can roll it all the way down to Charlie, and then we'll go right in here to the terminal. So we don't need a very, what's the length of that runway? 8,900 feet almost. We don't need a very high auto brake setting. Auto brake 2 is going to be plenty, I think. And given the fact that it's going to be a hand flow maneuver, you know, I might not put it down exactly in the aiming blocks. Hopefully we will. But a auto brake 2. Oh, they've got an ATIS up there, Bed Dave? That's good. Information Victor.
Douglas 4, Tango Alpha.
LDA. Landing and departing runway 8, though.
Sierra, Quebec Alpha.
So if they're landing and departing, so it'd be the LDA, but we wouldn't be circling. Well, that just means we'll land on runway 8. Which is fine. It's only 6 knots tailwind. But we'll just land on runway 8. That'll be easier. Still requires a little bit of a maneuver to get onto the center line after performing the approach.
317 miles.
Minimums don't change because it's 3,200 either way. And then it's a left-hand turn-off. And since the terminal's way back here at the beginning, let's go ahead and do a firmer auto brake, because if we maybe make it off by Echo, it shortens up our taxi in. So we can do it that way. I don't know if we don't need to cook the brakes, but we can go to a 3, and that'll just shorten up that taxi in. Okay, so we've got all that set and ready to go. Let's run through the approach briefing again just to make sure. By the way, welcome back to the stream. Good to see you. Approach frequency and course is set. Missed approach frequency and course is set. Missed approach altitude 5,600. FMC legs and altitudes and missed approach were all reviewed, and we got the range rings in. We got our V speed set 133, 138. Minimums 3,200. Ceiling and visibility, we're looking at cloud bases of 4,500. No visibility issues other than that. Got a 6 knot tailwind on runway 8. Left-hand turn off if we make it down. Right turn if we go missed. What's the missed procedure? Immediate climbing right turn to 5,600. the auto brake set, and we'll get the spoilers armed on final. Alright, well, we are still about an hour out. Sounds like one of the furry co-pilots might need a quick trip out. Then with my lovely better half out of town this evening, it's going to be on me to get that taken care of. Let me see if Center doesn't mind if I step out and take care of that. Center Alaska 514, are we able to step out for about 5?
Alaska 514 as requested, report back.
Wilco, thanks so much. Okay, be back in a couple. Back with you. I just realized that the mic muted message wasn't on the screen, but hopefully you all figured it out. The Center Alaska 514 is back on.
Alaska 514, Roger.
Band Slam's with us, Band Slam. Guys, if you're new to the channel, our normal broadcast schedule is Tuesdays and Fridays at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, which is 2300 Zulu time. We are on the VATSIM network. We do a mix of flying and air traffic control on the network. More of a flying stream than a controlling stream, but we do a good mix of both. Slant Alpha refers to that old school analog style of radio-based navigation. So back in the day, you would not have typically seen a lot of RNAV-capable aircraft being flown on the stream. We've changed that up. We've done a little bit more of a mix lately. We still fly the A2A simulations Piper Comanche without any kind of RNAV capability, no GPS, just the old analog style of navigation in that. We fly the PMDG the PMDG Douglas DC-6. That's what we're going to be flying for you on Friday. We do that all with that old school analog style of navigation.
3572, Charlie, go before Alpha Bravo.
It's the 4-engine prop liner from this very same aircraft developed at PMDG. The third aircraft we fly is from Just Flight. It's the BAE-146. It is a 4-engine regional jet that we started by navigating old school radio-based navigation only, but we've just recently started using that vintage RNAV capable device called the UNS-1. It's a flight management computer that doesn't have all the fancy nav screens like this, but it does still have kind of a programmable path that then lists waypoint by waypoint. So that's doesn't have it has a primitive VNAV system that we do a lot of manual manipulation to get to do these complex profile descents, but we do that one occasionally on the stream for you, and then we do this PMDG 737, the NGX, smaller version of the NGX, which of course has that full flight management system with nav display. So this is the one that we do fly that's more of a modern aircraft. Dog says, did you call ATC and tell them you were back? Yes, sir, I did. And he acknowledged. Then the other thing we do is some air traffic control on the VATSIM network, and I'm a controller for the Washington, D.C. AirTCC on within VAT USA. We've got a number of good events that we'll be providing services for coming up this month. So really good mix of flying and air traffic control for you this month. This coming Friday, VAT USA hosts... Oh, let me get the title right, because it's kind of a fun one. Go to VATUSA.net and you go under Pilot Tools and Events Calendar. There you go, Journey Out of Detroit. Journey Out of Detroit, who's flying now? So this is what we're going to be flying for you. And this is probably worth a read-through when you get a time for the description by a very good friend of the stream, Lauren. Loves to do these parody lyrics. So that's a good read-through if you want to get a song stuck in your head. But this is going to be Friday the 22nd. This will be our next stream. We're going to do Louisville to Detroit to Baltimore in the PMDG 7... I'm sorry, I keep saying 737. PMDG DC-6. A little bit of a vintage twist on the Friday Night Ops event, so we'll give the controllers a little bit of a different look and some challenges to sequence us in with the jet traffic. Back in the actual day that the DC-6s were flying in and out of Detroit, the main airport there was Willow Run. So we'll bend history a little bit and we'll fly into the modern version of Detroit Airport, the Wayne County Metro Airport. Matter of fact, their call sign is Metro Tower, Metro Ground, etc. So we'll bend history a little bit and fly in and out of Detroit Metro Wayne County Airport with the DC-6. But we'll do that Louisville to Detroit and then Detroit down to Baltimore. Dog says, I'm seeing on VATSIM radar there's a 727 landing into Juneau, but he's on Unicom. So what might be happening there is, well, two things might be happening. Number one, he just might not be in touch with Center as he should be. Number two, Center might be simulating that the Class Delta is closed there.
And it's in Center, Douglas 4
You
Kilo
know,
Alpha.
Class Delta tower hours aren't 24/7. A lot of times they're only open during certain hours.
Can I step out for
I
about
can't
10
imagine. We're 8 hours,
Douglas 4 Tango Alpha has requested report back.
so we're 4 hours
I think-
behind Eastern time. So it's 4:30 p.m. right now in Juneau. So I couldn't imagine that that Class Delta wouldn't be operable at this time. So it's probably just somebody who hasn't been in touch with the controller and is supposed to be, but isn't. Yeah, it does say he's on 122.8. So it may just be that the controller's tried to get in touch with him and has not successfully been able to do so, and maybe a supervisor hasn't had a chance to intervene yet. Not sure what's going on there, but it's what it is. Not everybody on VATSIM does what they're supposed to do. It's all good. We don't need to call people out. Controller can handle it. Nothing we can do about it, so.
Alaska 514 at your discretion, descend, maintain 13,000.
At our discretion down to 13,000, Alaska 514. We do have information, Victor at Juneau.
Thank you for Victor.
Alright, so down to 13. We're not going to start down yet. He did say at our discretion, so we don't need to start down right away. We'll just start down and send our Alaska 514. Just for your planning purposes, our calculated top of descent's about 75 miles out.
Alaska 514, Roger. Do you already have a approach plugged in, or are you looking for one?
Yeah, I mean, Victor says you're doing LDA for 8, so that's fine. We're set up for that.
Alaska 514, Roger. Thank you. Alaska 514, you can't expect to join from Bergs.
Okay, we'll join the procedure. We'll expect to join the procedure from Bergs, Alaska 514, thanks. Okay. And that is indeed what we've got the box set up to do. Bergs, and then Sisters Island, and then Linz. Double check, triple check. We've already kind of double checked, but we'll triple check. Bergs, Sisters Island, 8 DME, and that's where we had to do the VA56, and then Linz at 56. And Barlow at 37, and then the minimums at 32, and then we still have quite a ways to go before we make it down to the runway. Yeah, very challenging approach here, very challenging terrain. Coming in from here, we're joining over top of some high terrain. Linz at 5,600 feet, in sea level. And then by this point, Barlow, we're still at 3,700 feet. And we got a fairly steep descent before we get down to the runway 8 here. But again, a left-hand turn off. We're going to do a pretty robust auto brake, try and get off by Echo, and then back here to the terminal. The winds are favoring 2.6, but it's only 6 knots. And the ATIS information doesn't say anything about, yeah, they say they're landing and departing runway 8, even though the wind is 280 at 6, so it's going to be almost a 6-knot straight on tailwind, but that's negligible, and if they want to, if runway 8's there, easier for one for them to use for airport efficiency, then that's fine. The shut-off monitoring guard.
Alaska 514, just for your awareness, there's an aircraft that just landed at Juneau and did not contact me. He was Nordo. It looks like he's now using the flight replay feature and is still connected to the network, so I don't know exactly what he's doing.
Okay, we'll look out for him. I mean, worst case scenario, we'll just put him on ignore, if that's okay with you.
Yep, that'll work.
And Anchorage Center, Douglas 4 Tango Alpha back with you.
Douglas 4 Tango Alpha, roger, welcome.
Alright, as the map gets cluttered, I basically just knocked the range down one. We're getting very close to where we're going to be starting our top of descent. Weather radar is not looking like there's too many returns. This is the radar that's going to get really lit up here soon. Matter of fact, what we might do, I'm going to turn terrain off, weather on there. Let's turn weather off, rain on there. That'll be the more pressing information for us to have over in this seat, I think. Range up on our seatmates. Atlas system is here. Atlas house gone.
And Alaska 514, just for your information, that aircraft is now replaying their flight again. They're over at the Sisters Island. You're at 6,000.
Alright, sounds good. If we get a little closer in and they're still on, I'll hit it out, dot ignore on them, so they won't be a factor for us.
Left 514, right?
Is this the Salmon 30 Salmon? I forgot all about that Atlas system. I didn't catch the icon that you sent a minute ago. I didn't pick up on the meaning there, but it very well might be. I don't know if it's the exact. I mean, that's so funny. I don't know. I don't remember what the call sign of that aircraft was. This is the tail number here. It very well could be.
514 does not any longer appear to be a factor.
We appreciate it. Thanks so much.
I tried to message a soup, but there's no line, so.
Yeah, I know. I'm monitoring all that stuff on my second monitor. Guys, if you don't know the story on that, it's a good one. Alaska Airlines does indeed have one of its, and I think it's one of its 737s. Yeah, it must be, right? Because it earned that nickname, the Salmon 30 Salmon. Salmon 30 Salmon. You know, occasionally airliners have bird strikes. It happens from time to time. It's one of the things that, you know, airline crews deal with, and they're trained for the emergency procedures. There was an Alaskan 737 that actually had a fish strike midair. They found pieces of salmon in the engine when it touched down, and they were able to inspect it. It literally was a fish that got ingested into the engine. The only thing they could figure was that it got dropped by an eagle or a hawk or something similar. And then just happened to fly right into the engine. Yeah, it's a great story. It's legit. It's 100% true. You know, there's a lot of stuff that gets passed around like that is urban legend, but allegedly this one is 100% legit. So that's what our friend Atlas was referring to. And I don't, like I said, I don't remember what the specific tail number of that incident aircraft was and whether or not this is the same. But yeah, great story. Only in Alaska, right?
And Charlie Golf Uniform Alpha Bravo. I do not have a current METAR for NOEND. It appears the METAR system is down. However, the task for this time period was...
Alright, we're going to go ahead and get the seatbelt signs on.
Visibility 6 miles or greater, and at least 12,000 foot ceiling. Whenever you can, if you could advise what approach flight.
Okay, so everything is the same. So 68 degrees, light winds, partly cloudy skies.
Hey, Charlie Golf Uniform Alpha Roger. Is it the one from 2 hours ago? If so, I'll just work with that one.
Greetings from the flight deck with an update. We have started our descent into Juneau, and we have turned on the fasten seatbelt sign, so we ask that you return to your seats and fasten your seatbelts. The cabin crew is going to come around one last time to collect crash and take care of any last minute needs. Weather at Juneau is currently showing 68 degrees Fahrenheit with light winds and partly cloudy skies. We expect to be on the ground for you in just about 25 minutes. Thanks again for flying with us on Alaska Airlines, Flight 514. Yeah, they did. They did literally paint a fish on that, so I guess this must not be that one.
A giant 425 Anchorage Center, squawk 2273 and ident.
2273 ident for giant 245.
And Charlie Golf Uniform Alpha Bravo, you advised Alpha Papa Uniform Yankee Oscar.
Hey, bro.
And Charlie Golf Uniform Alpha Bravo Roger.
So far we've got good adherence to the speed and the path.
And
see it's slightly below the path, slightly above the speed. If you see that it's above both, you can pretty much expect that you need to deploy the spoilers a little bit.
4,800, I'm clear for altitude approach runway 28, Charlie Golf Uniform Bravo.
The giant 425. Radar contact 6-7 miles northeast of the Middleton Island VOR. Just verify your present altitude.
But for right now, it looks like it's able to maintain the speed and the path just fine.
425, Roger, welcome. Alaska 514, cross bergs at or above 6,500, overhead bergs, clear to LDA X-ray, runway 8 approach Juneau.
At bergs at or above 6,500, and then clear for the LDA X-ray to runway 8, Alaska 514.
And Alaska Center, very pleasant good evening from
Yeah, it's a good thing you said at or above, because we're going to be above.
Juneau is information Victor on board requesting guard clearance down to Ketchikan.
Oh, Atlas said he actually flew to California in that aircraft before they painted it over. I didn't realize that they had painted it over. Kind of sad.
Juneau 6 departure as filed 210. Departure this frequency, squawk 4761.
And Alaska 2 cleared down to Juneau.
Terrain radar still functioning. Doesn't look like there's any significant weather. You can
210 and departure with you, squawk 4761 for Alaska.
knock the range down a little bit there.
Alaska 258, reach back is correct. Runway 8 will be for departure. Advise ready to taxi.
We'll advise them ready for a taxi for Alaska 258.
Giant 425.
Oh, I'm just going to get a head start on us, it sounds like. Don't blame you.
Point transition.
Maybe a little bit of a late one for us.
Assume about 10 minutes and we'll give you an extra. Giant 45.
Giant 425, roger.
And good.
And whoever that was, if you could repeat, you were broken. I think that was Giant 425, but you were broken.
I'm waiting for you, just getting clearance early. Okay.
But just wondering, just repeat the arrival.
Either way is fine.
Transition for
We're coming through 18, so we are going to go to the standard altimeter, out of the standard altimeter setting into the local altimeter, which was in the ATIS. It's 2997, so we got that set.
Awesome. Thank you, Giant 425.
And you are able to accept that, just to verify?
Yeah, we're good now for, we're able to accept Giant 425.
Hey, Giant 425, roger, descent by the Whitty 5 arrival, and just for your information, there is multiple sections of icing on the descent path. Reported, let's see, moderate icing from 10,000 to flight level 200, as well as some.
Okay, so we are now on the segment of the approach from Bergs to Sisters Island VOR.
We got some briefing on that, appreciate it, Giant 425. And just for...
You can see our path here.
Giant 425,
Go ahead and knock down the range so we get a little bit of a clearer picture of what we're doing.
From there, the information is currently X-ray altimeter 2994.
Awesome, we'll go pick it up now, Giant 425, appreciate it.
Yeah, look at this terrain, guys. This is gorgeous. Right over top of something there. Gustavus, PAGS, it looks like. Since we are cleared for the approach, I can actually lower that to the intercept altitude. Don't want it to capture 13. Glad that it gave us that reminder tone. As soon as I was cleared for the approach, I should have gone ahead and done that. The other thing we are going to do, though, I'm going to grab the speed and we're going to start slowing it down. And we may need to help it do that. As it was planning an idle descent down to the last minute. And now that I've asked it to slow down, it's like, well, I can't. I got too much altitude to slow down. That's where I'm going to go ahead and help it. I got to keep my finger on that lever there so I don't forget that I've got those deployed. Alright, so coming down through 10, let's get some forward-facing lights on. I'm going to leave the taxi light off until we got landing clearance. We'll go ahead and get continuous ignition on. No, it's a little early for that. Go ahead and alert our cabin crew that we're passing through 10. Last thing to do is get our spoiler armed once we are sure we don't need it anymore, but since I'm using it right now, can't really do that step just at this moment. We'll go ahead and assume that the crew is set clear for landing. Alright, it's still on the path it wants to be. We're almost down to the speed that we've commanded. Stow the spoilers, but since we're below 250, I am going to go ahead and get the first notch of flaps out. You can actually go all the way to flaps 5 below 250. You can go to flaps 10 at 210. You can go to flaps 5 under 250 pretty safely.
Giant 425, roger, and you can just send by the Woody 5 arrival.
Got the raid coming in. Be the gamer. Be the Gamer, welcome. Thank you very kindly for the raid. Appreciate your support. And everybody coming over from Be the Gamer stream. We are flying the 737-700 into Juneau, Alaska. The LDA X-ray approach to runway 8. We're just getting ready to join the approach here. We are flaps 2. We can go to flaps 5. Speed brake is stowed. Go ahead and get armed.
Anchorage Center, Alaska 15-3, good day. Looking for RFR clearance down to Honolulu with X-ray.
Alaska 1583, Anchorage Center, clear to the Honolulu Airport. My radar vectors, home review are as filed. Maintain 4000, expect flight level 320.
Okay, well, we've definitely got some terrain off to our left here.
Departure.
Terrain radar is indicating that, but appear to be above it. Terrain radar indicate that. As we descend, those will start to light up in brighter colors, but we are off to the right of that. We can see that not only on the terrain radar, but we can see that visually.
Alaska 1583, readback is correct. Information, X-ray is current, altimeter 2904, advised, ready to taxi.
We'll call you back for taxi, Alaska 1582.
We are cleared for the approach. Not yet clear to land, so I have the taxi light off. But since we are clear for the approach now, am I receiving that yet? Yeah, we got white diamonds here, so I am going to go ahead and engage approach mode. Alright friends, you guys can start putting some predictions.
514, wind 260 at 6, runway 08, clear to land.
Clear to land runway 8, Alaska 514. You guys can start putting some predictions into the chat as far as the vertical descent rate at the moment the wheels touch runway surface. There's no bot command necessary for that, just a number into the chat, positive or negative. We'll know that you need a descent rate either way. And the closest predictor to the actual gets an automatic entry into our bi-monthly landing rate raffle. Next will be drawn toward the end of this month. Got Slant Alpha merch up for grabs, as well as now you're going to put in a specific number, dogs. Put in a specific number, man. It doesn't count. There we go. That'll work. At 170, we can go to flaps 15. Atlas Systems has no faith. He's pretty sure I'm going to crater this thing. Right? About as much as me. Once we get turned on to final, I am going to go ahead and take manual control. I am descending on the, I'm not quite, I'm still on a VNAV path. I'm not quite descending on the gliders yet. But since we are descending on the approach, I guess we'll go ahead and get the, go ahead and get the gear down so it'll stop yelling at us. Dog says, I'm flying the Latin VFR A320. Would fly the Phoenix, but there's no Alaska for the Phoenix. Well, yeah, that'd be fine. I think God would forgive you. Alright. We're at our 10 mile. Let's go ahead and do a little early for some landing checks. Landing flaps we're holding on, gears down in green, continuous ignition is on. Let's go ahead and alert our cabin crew one final time. The missed approach altitude 5,600 on the immediate climbing right turn, and it's a left-hand turn off if we make it down successfully. We are just holding on to the landing flaps. And our landing clearance is received. Alright, friends. Heaven help us. My airplane. And we do have the runway inside up ahead.
Approaching minimums.
We are continuing.
Minimums.
At this point, we're clear to land. We're landing. Alright, let's set our V approach 138.
2,500.
Kind of breaking off of the flight directors. At this point, I'm manually and visually getting over to the
I
center.
just want to tell you both. Good luck.
Yeah.
We're all counting on you.
Exactly. One more for the landing flaps, right? Yeah, flaps 30. Okay, there's our 138. Let's get some throttle back in to hold on to that. Aim for this little valley here. Be stable. Last call for the predictions, friends. Alright, we can bring it down to 133 VREF.
1,000. $500, $400.
It's a little fast now. Back down under control.
300.
Overshot.
Anchorage Center, Alaska 1583, ready for taxi.
Alaska 15.
Whoa, whoa, way slow all of a sudden.
50,
Taxi by what
40.
kilo for Alaska 15-3?
30,
Echo Kilo.
20, 10,
Echo kilo for Alaska 15-3, thanks.
Center line left a little something to be desired. We got it down. Well, that was fun. I want to need to try that one again one day. Alright, we're through 80. We can cancel the reversers. Got some manual braking in. Yeah, I love a good challenge.
Alaska 514, text right by Alpha.
Alright, ramp via Alpha Alaska 514. Talk to you in a few. Alright. Yep, so put it down kind of firm, way off center line. Kind of put it down on the one gear. That was very sloppy. But it's a challenging approach, and do it again someday. I'll get a little better at it. Where are we going? Going to Charlie. Alright, let's go ahead and start the cleanup. Spoilers, flaps. Landing, turn off. And taxi we can keep on. The APU will get on and running. Continuous ignition off, and the strobes can go to steady. Get the
Attention aircraft, anchors information, Yankee now current, Juneau
TA and RA.
Yankee now current.
Back to transponder mode. We got the flight directors off. We can cancel the minimums. We can cancel the terrain radar and the weather radar. I think I got everything. Oh, we can do probe heat and screen heat. Alright, well, hey. We always say that the first landing on every stream is practice for the second landing, so hopefully the second one will go a little bit better. Run through the taxi in, make sure I got everything. Flaps and spoilers, probe heat, windscreen, continuous ignition, weather and terrain radar, flight director's auto brake, minimums reset, transponder, TARA, lights, and APU. Yeah, we're good.
Alaska 1583, upon departure flight heading 300, winds calm, runway 33 clear for takeoff.
300 and then 33 for takeoff.
Oh, I think Dogs is sitting at the gate that we were going to take, but that's fine. We'll take the one next to you. That is fine. Yeah, it was a fun one, but that's obviously one that I'll need to do again, get a little better at. I don't think it was quite as bad as the stats that came up. I mean, Atlas System might have won. Alright, we got our taxi light off.
And Giant 425, expect vectors for the ILS runway 7 right approach.
Looks like there's the ILS approach, sir, to the right. 10 to track.
Alright, parking brake is on. Taxi light is off. Let me run through the turnaround checklist and then we'll go over the winning numbers here. Let's get up top. Let's do the APU gens on. Let's get the ISO valve open and APU bleed on. Once we've done that, which we have, we can shut down the engines. We can get the fuel pump shut off, except for that left inner. Get the anti-collision light off. You typically would wait until the engines spool all the way down.
Closing in 10 minutes. Intentional aircraft Anchorage Center will be closing in 10 minutes.
Anti-collision wheel well lights can come on. They are going to want to do a gear inspection probably. The seatbelt signs can come off. And the chime can come off. We can get down to the FMC. We'll get to our menu and FS actions and ground services. We'll go ahead and set chocks. Go ahead and get some ground power and ground AC going. Let's go back and get to the doors. Open the exit door. Go to the next page. Cargo and equipment hatches all open. Let's jump down here and we'll set our transponder back to 2000. Kenny, we got 2016 as our assigned squawk. We almost had a 2019. We got a 2016. We're only off by 3 there.
When able to say out 2 passing.
Passing 1500 for 4000.
So the transponder's reset now. Let's go ahead and get the ground power up and running. And with the ground power up and running, we can turn PACs off. And APU off, ISO valve off, and APU, whoops, not start, off. Yeah, now I've confused it. Off. Okay, well, we'll see what happens. Give it a few minutes and hopefully it'll start spooling down. With the APU turning off, hopefully, we can shut that final fuel pump off.
Alaska 1583, turn left heading 260.
Let's go ahead and check my predictions, and then we'll check your predictions. So for starters, fuel and timing. I had said we were going to be down here at 9:17 Eastern Time, and we're 7 minutes early. That's not too bad there. We should have just about 12.5 left in the tanks, and we've got 13.2, so we got 700 extra pounds. That's not bad, though. That's a pretty good margin of error. Well, I'll put that in, 13,200. Yeah, 700 extra pounds, and 7 minutes early. So that's good, and then let's check on your predictions. Well, let's just say it wasn't, statistically speaking, it wasn't my best work. 348 was what registered. Yeah, pretty sloppy, and overshot the center line twice. Overshot and then it overcorrected. So, oh well, we'll try it again someday. But yeah, that was a fun one. Always a good challenge. And let's see who was closest to 348. We had numbers of 173, 185, 125, 225, 143. So it looks like that 225 from the dogs. Yeah, 225 from dogs is going to be the winning number.
2000 transport.
The dogs 3447 at PAJN on what is today? 8. Is it the 19th?
Alaska 1583, proceed direct Homer VOR.
Yeah, I think it's the 19th.
Direct Homer, Alaska 1583.
All right, one in the books, one to go, guys. Let's go ahead and get at it. We did have one person stop in a little bit ago, Yabo iPilot. So Yabo was asking a tech support question. Here's what I recommend, Yabo. Go ahead and join our Discord, because it's going to be a little difficult to try and do what you're asking in the stream chat. It says, it's first time in chat, got a question, try to recalibrate the total beach velocity one flight stick. Here's what I recommend, because you'll be able to send screenshots and such. Join our Discord. The Discord link is on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. It's also available. We'll make it nice and clickable for you here. Join our Discord, and go into our channel called Tech Support. Post your question there. That'll be the best way to handle that. Ed Day says, after he touched down, I guess 350 in my head. Oh, I'll award you a raffle entry in my head also, Ed Dave. So that'll square that up for you. But anyway, yeah, join that Discord there, Yabo, and there's a tech support channel in our Discord. You'll be able to post up screenshots So somebody will be able to help you and maybe post screenshots of what they recommend in terms of the settings for that. That'll be easier to handle that than to kind of distract the stream chat from what's going on here in the live stream tonight. So, all right. We got leg number 2 to go. Let me get it filed on VATSIM, and then I'll take another brief intermission just to kind of clear my throat up a little bit. Do we want to edit the flight plan? No, we want to just go ahead and put a whole new one in. It's going to be ASA 514. We're IFR. We're going to be 737-700, which is a medium. We are SBDF BHIRWY. And transponders L. We're going to depart from PAJN. We're going to be off block at 0150. Can we do that? Oh yeah, that'll be easy. Let's even go 0140 for our off block time. 27,000 feet is going to be the altitude. We'll be at 480. We're arriving at Ketchikan, PAKT. Our alternate is Fat Blank White Girl, PAWG. En route time 0044 and 0235. This is the route, the Juneau 6 to SSR to Q902 and then Doozy. Yeah, it is a Doozy route. Performance is a Charlie. We got B1, C1, B1, S2, and T1. I think that's it. Data file auto-populates, and we'll put the stream link down here. TV / Dog's got an alternate of Yakutat, PAYA. Well, that's fine, but then I wouldn't have been able to make my stupid joke about the one we're going to, which is Wrangle, by the way. PAWG is Wrangle, but it also means something else if you look it up on Urban Dictionary. Slant Alpha Adventures. And we'll leave it at that. It is a family show, although we're occasionally PG-13. But there we go. And we can, chart-wise, we don't need the LDA. And pull up the Juneau 6. Let's go ahead and punch our route into here so we can kind of look at it. Going to be PAGN, PA, KT. What did I say the route was? Juneau 6 to SSR to Q9.
425, turn right heading 040, intercept the final approach course.
There it is, kind of out to the west and climbing left turn to go southwestbound.
Right, 040.
And then there's Ketchikan. We'll see what we see when we get down there in terms of approach. There's our airport diagram for where we are now. Let's get the Juneau 6 obstacle departure clearance in front of us. And let's make sure we can read it. Lots of notes about takeoff obstacles. Courses up here. We are going to Sisters Island, Barlow to SSR VOR. And then from there, we're going south and east. So if they're departing on runway 8, it's going to be a climbing right turn 279 to join the 251 outbound, which I guess is the LDA course backwards. At this point, Barlow, and then we break off here to Sisters Island. So we'll get that all punched into the FMC. I believe I've got it filed on VATSIM. Get a clearance. Don't get a
Giant 425,
pre-departure clearance. We'll get a verbal clearance, but it also sounded kind of like he was about to close up shop. So we may be just on our own for the second leg. We'll see what happens with that. But I am going to take a brief intermission out of the cockpit before we get into all that. So bear with me as we take a break. Let's get a nice outside camera view of myself and our very good friend Dogs, matching liveries here. We're at Juneau, Alaska. That's a nice shot, actually. All right, we'll be back with you in just a bit. We've got lots of flying left to do. Sit tight. Thanks for your patience, and we appreciate you joining us in some slant Lima flying on the Slant Alpha channel. Back in a bit, guys.
Giant 425, winds calm, runway 7 right, clear line.
Clear line 0 right, 07 right, 10 transport up.
Charlie Golf Uniform Alpha Bravo, Anchorage Center will be closing, radio services are terminating, frequency change is approved.
Frequency change approved, Charlie Golf Uniform Alpha Bravo, the upright.
Douglas 4 Tango Alpha, Anchorage Center will be closing, radio services are terminating, frequency change is approved. Alaska 1583, Anchorage Center will be closing, radar services are terminated, frequency change is approved.
22-8 for Alaska 1583, thanks.
And Giant 425, Anchorage Center closing, radar services terminated, frequency change approved.
Have a good one, Giant 425.
Alright friends, back with you, and thanks for your patience. Another one of our Slant Alpha adventures getting back underway, coming at you live from Studio 5. Just outside of Ocean City, Maryland. Very, very slant Lima for you tonight, and we're in the PMDG 737-700, and we're quite a bit away from home. You know, in the real world, I'm, as I say, live from Studio 5, just outside of Ocean City, Maryland. And then the sim, you can see, I don't know how well you know the geography east of the Chesapeake Bay in the mid-Atlantic, but it's not anywhere near this kind of terrain here. We're in Juneau, Alaska. Yeah. What part of the state is that in? Juneau? Well, it's the southern part of the state. I say, what part of the state is that in? Juneau? Couldn't help myself. Yeah, I noticed. He had said before I left, he said he was closing up shop in about 10 minutes. And he had held true to that, so I can see he's no longer online. So we'll figure it out on our own, I guess. All good. One thing we can do here is, so we can see that our assigned squawk is 4555. And again, that doesn't really, if there's no air traffic control, it doesn't really matter what you're squawking. But if air traffic control happens to pop on later, we'll already be squawking our assigned code, so that works just fine for us. And then that goes back to what I had said before, which is we found out that PAJN, for whatever reason, it's just an oversight. It's not in the AIP, so if you try and do a .CTAF to figure out what the Common Traffic Advisory frequency is for this airport, you'll see that it doesn't return anything. That's not because there isn't one, it's just somehow didn't make it into the system. But if you go here on the chart on SkyVector, you can very plainly see the control tower frequency listed here, 118.7, and right behind that is the C in the circle, which indicates that it is indeed the Common Traffic Advisory frequency as well. So 18.7 is what will be on for operations in and around the airport, and then 22.8 is what will be on for en route advisories on this second leg. Said it, and then I forgot it that quickly. 18.7? Yes, sir. Alright, back into the aircraft we go. So we've got there's no more ATIS, but we can go back to a METAR, see if anything has changed since the last time we looked at it. 250 at 8, so it's changed very slightly. If you at 5,000 feet, clouds are raising. 2998, so the altimeter's up slightly higher as well. So we'll go ahead and bump that up one. 2998. That's all well and good. We don't have clearance to obtain with anybody. We've got nobody to obtain it from. We're going to set this, so 22.8 is what we're going to change to, but we'll set it in the standby here. We'll set 118.7, as we were just referring to moments ago. We'll spin that up to 7. And then we'll flip that back in. So that's the frequency for in and around the airport. That's the frequency for en route. That's guard frequency, which will now go back to monitoring since there's no air traffic control in the area. If one comes on, they could try to raise us on the guard channel if they would like to, or they can send us that text message, contact me, over the pilot client like our controller did earlier. ELW, did I say hi to you earlier? Were you here the whole time, ELW, or you're just now stopping in? Oh yeah, you were here. You've been here. Yeah. That was a hard approach, he says. He's referring to the experience, not the outcome. It was both. Actually, the approach was fine. The touchdown was terrible. I was actually pretty happy with how I flew the approach right up until the turn from the final approach course to the center line. At that point, it was no longer well done. It was rare. Our comm radios are set, altimeter is set. Let's go ahead and punch the route into the flight management computer. We'll have to do some guessing here as to what we're going to do when we get down to Ketchikan. But let's go into route. Our origin is PAJN. Our destination is PAKT. The departure and arrival page we're going to do on the Juneau 6 to SSR, I believe. Yeah, SSR. Off of runway 8. Put that into the route. And we'll go to the next page. Now, at this point, the winds favor 26. We could take off to the west. It'd be easier. But since they were landing and departing runway 8 prior to him going offline, I'm going to just stay true to that. And we'll make that hard right turn on departure because it's just more fun. So we'll do that just because it's more fun. But wind-wise, 26 was what was favored. So we'll just stick with what he had given us. We might have to coordinate if there's other traffic that ends up coming in. They might end up trying to use 26. So we'll just have to be careful that we're not going to conflict with anybody. But I'm going to just stick with runway 8 because that's what he had assigned us before. And I think it looks like a little bit more fun to depart that way. So we'll do that. After SSR, it's Q902 to Doozy. And then let's see if we can get a gauge. What's available at Ketchikan and then what's going to be the, oh boy, got a blue dot. That means weather's not good there. 7 statute miles, light rain, scatter clouds of 1400. Okay, could be fun there. We'll have to see what the approaches are. 150 at 5. It looks like this is approximately a 15 and 33 runway. We'll probably offer a couple of that. Oh, it's 11 and 29. Okay. Well, we got approaches to 11 and to 29. So either way is fine. And then with 150 at 5, I guess runway 11 is going to be preferred. So I'm going to do, well, let's pull up the Yankee and the Zulu and let's see what the difference is. Zoom that in 2 steps and zoom that in 2 steps. Stupid thing off. Yeah, I don't need the AI assistant. Trust me, the AI assistant's not going to interpret this properly. So the ILS Yankee looks like it's very much conventional nav only. The ILS Zulu looks like it's got this curved path that you can use. Since we're not coming from that direction, though, it almost feels like the ILS Yankee makes more sense here. Oh, and it comes off of the Point Doozy. So, yeah, it looks like the ILS Yankee is tailor-made for what we're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with that. ILS Yankee and the runway 11 is what we'll plan for. Right from Doozy, because that'll connect in magically. So we'll go ILS Yankee from Doozy. And we'll set that into the route, and we'll activate and execute. Performance, cost index is 74, because why not? Reserves, as I have calculated them to get to PAWG, will be 5.2, and then we'll have some alternates and contingencies on top of that. 0 fuel weight. We're just going to assume the same payload, similar payload, passenger load and cargo load, so I'm not going to change that. 0 fuel weight then is 111.4. We are going to go to
Juneau traffic, Alaska 2D, taxiing runway 08 via Alpha Juneau.
270, and then we'll execute N1 limit. As I always like to say, a real airline pilot is duty bound. If the safety of the flight would not be compromised, the real airline pilot is duty bound to use a lower thrust setting for either takeoff or climb or both, if that can be done without compromising performance so much that it would impact safety. Number 1, with this high terrain, I think we're going to leave the settings as high as possible. Number 2, I don't care about fuel and wear and tear on this aircraft, so I'm going to skip past that anyway, as I always do. Flaps 5. Oink. V speeds are as follows. 119 is our V1. If we have any safety critical issues that occur prior to reaching 119 knots, we'll abort the takeoff. If we reach 119, we will take all those problems with us airborne. We will accelerate 3 additional knots, and we'll rotate the aircraft at 122. If we have 1 good working engine at that point, we'll pitch to maintain 131 knots. If we've got 2 good working engines at that point, We're pitched to maintain 151 knots. We'll maintain that up until 1,000. We'll retract flaps and evaluate options from there. Center of gravity, double click, and it populates in. 6.1 is our trim. So let's go ahead and start getting all that set up. 131, so we're looking at 151. Okay, the initial heading. As we say, the runway heading is 87. However, the initial heading is going to be a right turn to 279. We're going to have to be very careful to make sure that it makes a right turn to 279 and not a left turn. So we will maybe initiate that. Yeah, let's make sure we make a right turn. Let's just set it to 180 first, and then we'll crank it up to that 279 once we get turned. So when we get when we get airborne. Initial altitude. Don't really have one because we don't have an IFR clearance. However, the initial altitude is going to have to be at least 5,500. And it looks like the initial altitude for the procedure might be 7,000. So it's got to be at least 5,500 before we get to Sisters Island. So let's just say the initial altitude here is 7,000. It's an obstacle departure procedure, so it's not like a routing that's going to have an initial altitude, like a top altitude, like a standard SID would. But let's just set the initial at 7,000, and we'll just assume that we're going to end up clearing ourselves up to 270 prior to reaching that. So the initial heading 180, it's really going to be 279, but we got to make sure the plane makes a right turn, so it's going to be set to 180 for now. Initial altitude 7,000. We got 151 set as our V2 plus 20. We're going to go ahead and engage auto throttle, flight director, and flight director. We will get the map zoomed out just a little bit there. No, I like it where it was because that'll give us that right turn over there. Actually, it looks like we could probably, based on the way it's depicted in the FMC, it looks like we could just probably start that in LNAV. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll just go ahead and set the 279. But we'll just have to be ready to intervene if we engage that and the plane does something wonky like try to make a left turn. We'll have to just be very careful that we manually intervene and fix that problem. Okay, so auto throttle's on, flight directors are on, LNAV and VNAV are both armed. We got the initial heading, initial altitude, and the initial what we call the second segment climb speed set. Traffic and data already set, and we can go ahead and get auto brake set to reject takeoff, and that's squawk code. What was it? 4555, right? And go ahead and set transponder. All right, let's get all the doors closed. Close, close, close. Let's get the seatbelt lights on. Is there. Let's get the left inner fuel pump on. Get the APU. Okay, the APU did eventually shut down. That's good. We'll get it on and started again. Parking brake is already set. Let's double check that. Okay, it is. Red light's on, so we're good. Get the window heat back on. We're not going to do the probe heat just yet. We don't want to burn up those tubes. Get the window heat on. Cruise altitude just 27,000 feet this time. Landing altitude is going to be pretty much 100 feet round figures at Ketchikan. APU buses aren't yet ready to come on, so we'll wait for the APU to spool down, settle in. And we'll get the electricity and the air conditioning transferred over to that. Got that done. That done. APU bleed. ISO valve and packs. So there we got electricity and air conditioning now being supplied by the aircraft. That means we can jump down here to the FMC. We can go over to ground services. We can throw the chocks off, which throws the lines off as well. And I think we should be good there. Greetings from the flight deck and welcome aboard Alaska Airlines Flight 514 with service to Ketchikan. We're going to be pushing back from the gate here in about 2 minutes and expect to be wheels up at about 10 till the hour. Flight time, once we're airborne, just a very short 44 minutes, and we'll be cruising at 27,000 feet for you. The origin weather here is fairly favorable. We got mostly clear skies and light winds throughout the region. We don't expect any bumps on the way up, and it looks like we've got fairly favorable weather all the way down to Ketchikan, but we'll give you an update on the weather situation there once we get up to cruise. But for now, sit back, relax, and do get those seatbelts fastened for us as we get underway here momentarily. Thanks again for flying with us on Alaska Airlines Flight 514 service to Ketchikan. Catch me if you can. Catch me if you can. Let's get the wheel well light off. Anti-collision light on. And we're eastbound, so we'll keep the igniter set to the right-hand side. Fuel pumps can all come on. Nothing in the center tanks at this point. Oh, hydroelectric pumps already on. Forgot to turn those off. All good, though. Let's get our pushback configured. And we're going to be taking off runway 8, so we're going to push out here and face west and think about direction, wonder why you haven't before. Get our pushback connected. Take a peek. Yeah, looks like dogs, you out of the way? You already gone? Did you already leave? You down there? Yeah, you're down there waiting for us. You're too nice, man. You could just go. You don't have to wait for us. But it's all good, man. Alright, so we got the parking brake released, hold released. Let's jump up top and get some stuff started here. Starting on the number 2 side, pack off, ground start on. Alright, we got spinny? Yep, we got spinny. Once we got about 20 spinnies, we'll get the fuel in.
Juneau traffic on Alaska 58, lining up, taking off runway 8. Juneau.
We'll be just a few minutes behind you. No big deal. All right, we got N1 spinny now. That's good. Alright, number 1's clicked off. We are good. Get our parking brake set, close that. Let's jump up top. Get our gen on for the right-hand side. Pack back on for the right-hand side. Left-hand pack off, left-hand ground start rolling. We got more spinny. It's happening. What was the trim? 6.1, I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, 6.1. Oh, let's not burn our starter up. Let's get some fuel in. There it goes. Whoopsie. $24, $50, and $60 are the average numbers there. Okay, looking good. Starter kicked off. Let's come up top. Let's get gen on and pack on. We are now supplying with the engines, now supplying air conditioning and electricity. We no longer need the APU, so we can get the bleed off, isovalve off, and APU off. control surfaces, again, we would, I don't have the screen that allows you to check electronically that control surfaces are moving, but somebody outside would check and give us a big thumbs up there. Set flaps 5. Takeoff trim 6.1. Right about there. Right about now. Funk soul brother. Let's get our probe heat on, and then we'll do a config check. That should get the last of the warnings out, and it does. We can disengage our parking brake. Yes, I know you have to hold the foot brake in because of the stupid toolbar pushback. You just have to get it off that way. But now we're all good. We'll advance throttles a little bit. No warning sounds observed. We are good. Juneau traffic, Alaska 514 is a 737 going out to runway 8 via Alpha, Juneau. Okay, brake check, brakes are working. No longer on the ramp. We'll go get the weather. Actually, you know what? We'll not get weather. Let's get terrain on this side, weather on that side, since I think terrain's the much more critical information for this particular departure. Okay. We're now on Alpha. Let's pick it up a little bit like Southwest. Looks like we're going to be number 1 for departure. Alert our cabin crew. Continuous ignition on, TARA on. Flaps 5 confirmed. Forward facing lights on, strobe light on. Juneau traffic, Alaska 514 is departing runway 8. Going to be a right hand turn out to the west, IFR. Juneau. Okay, lights are set. Cabin crew, did they advise they are secure? Now they have. Something kicked my auto throttle off again. I'm not sure why. Alright, we are in line. Runway 8 confirmed. Let's see if I can get it to go into Toga. Didn't work there. Okay, my button doesn't work for Toga anymore, but the magic click spot does. So there we go. So that's really what it's been. It's just been that button the whole time. That's good to know. Get back over on the center line. Sure. Hold the forward pressure on the yoke until the 80 knot call. There we go.
V1, rotate.
Alright, rotating.
P2. Positive brake.
Okay, gear coming up. Pitch to maintain the V2 plus 20. And yeah, we want to start that immediate right turn, don't we? Okay, there it goes. Are we sure about that immediate right turn? Alright, we're through 1,000. We'll start getting flaps up. Juneau traffic, Alaska 514 clear of runway 8 and departing IFR westbound. Last call, Juneau. So over to 22.8 we go. And I'm up and away. Okay, it did indeed follow the departure procedure, so we are good there. Flaps are up. RTO cancel. Gear handle can center. Continuous ignition off. We want to make sure we're continuing to climb. So we'll go ahead and say we've been cleared up to a cruise of 270. Okay, it did not capture. It's still in VNAV altitude, so we're good there. Hey, is it leveling or is it climbing? Okay, for some reason it thinks it needs to be at 7 at Barlow. Yeah, let's, oh, there it goes, there it goes, there it goes. I was just gonna say, if it's not gonna start climbing, we can kick it into flight level change mode. But it's got it now. Alright, coming up through 10, we can get forward-facing lights off. Get the cabin crew released. And we'll do a pressure check. So differential pressure is about 1/3 of the way up the range. So normally at 10,000 it's about 1/3 of the way up, 18,000 it's about 2/3 of the way up, cruise it's all the way up. Cabin altitude should be just starting to climb. Cabin altitude, the perceived altitude based on the cabin air pressure is 1,000 feet and climbing at a normal rate. So all good, everything is normal so far. Dogs, are we losing, man? Maybe you had to bail on us? Oh, but if that's the case, just catch you on the next one. Thanks for flying with us on the first one, man. We could probably shortcut ourselves to the next point just to save a little bit of time here, but that's okay. We'll just let it take the path that it wants to take. Let's bump the range up here a little bit so we can see if there's any weather to be aware of. Doesn't look like there is. Do we have the weather on there? Yeah. Terrain on this side? Yeah, good. Hi friends, well, if you're new to the stream, we've talked briefly about our raffles that we run on the channel. And first of all, I will say thank you to everybody who continues to support the channel in terms of the subscriptions and the gift subs and the cheer bits and the donations. Thank you so much for all of that. This is not something that I do for a living. It's not even really a side hustle. The money that comes into the stream mostly comes right back to you in terms of the monthly raffles and the other giveaways that we do on the channel. The monthly raffles, well, we've got 2 bi-monthly raffles that we alternate. So we end up doing a drawing every single month on the channel. Raffle number 1 is our Alphabets Points raffle. And that's the one that you enter with the Twitch channel points, aka the Alphabets Points, right there at the bottom of the chat window. You got the alphabet serial icon that represents those points, and then you've got the button next to that that tells you how many of those you had. You can click on that button. You get the option to redeem 2,000 of those for 1 entry, and then if you save up and cash in 10,000 at a time, that's good for 6 entries. So if you want to enter the Alphabets raffle, 2,000 for 1, 10,000 gets you 6 for the price of 5. Yeah, we are above 18 now. We'll go ahead and switch over to standard altimeter rather than the local altimeter. Do another cabin pressure check. Again, the differential is now 2/3 of the way up. Cabin altitude's 2,000 and change. Still climbing at a normal rate. Everything's all good there. So that's how you enter the Alphabets Points raffle with the Twitch channel points. 2,000 for 1 entry, 10,000 will get you 6 for the price of 5, and that's the one that we pull toward the end of the odd-numbered months. So the next one we'll pull on that one will be toward the end of the month of September. The landing rate raffle, well, you've already seen 1 entry happen on that this evening. You'll see another one here as we get established on the approach into Ketchikan. Once we get established on that approach, and I will let you know when, you can start putting in predictions, but you'll start just putting in numbers into the chat, not now, but then, and I'll let you know. But when the time comes, we'll put some numbers into the chat. You don't need to use a bot command on this channel. We just do it by eyeballing it into the chat. Just type it in. You can put the minus sign. You can not put the minus sign. What you're putting in is your prediction as to the descent rate in terms of feet per minute at the moment the wheels touch down. So here we're climbing right now at 2450 feet per minute. When we're descending, we're going to descend at some number of feet per minute. At the very instant the wheels touch the runway surface, you kind of don't want a big number there. You want a smaller number. Now, it's not necessarily the case that smaller is always better. You want a reasonable number. You want to get the weight onto the wheels in a reasonable fashion. If you try to aim for too low of a descent rate, and especially if you've got gusty crosswinds or slippery runway surface, it can kind of be dangerous to try and do that. But at any rate, the prediction is for what is the descent rate in terms of feet per minute at the moment the wheels touch the runway surface, and whoever gets closest get an automatic entry into our landing rate raffle, and that's the one that we pull toward the end of the even-numbered month. So that's the one that we'll pull toward the end of the month of August. All right? So we will let you know. It is too early to do that now. You do need to be in attendance when we perform that landing, so I will let you know when it's time to put those numbers in. But for right now, just hold on to those, and we'll get those once we get a little closer into Ketchikan. When we pull the winners on those, you might be wondering, well, what am I even in the running for? Well, this is what the support of the channel buys you in terms of all the folks who are kind enough to donate or to hit us with the cheer bits or the subscriptions or the gift subs. That money buys the fund. That money funds the prize vault here, and the Slant Alpha prize vault gives you your choice of any one item off of this list. It's the stream merch, the t-shirt, ball cap, mouse pad, coffee mug, or tote bag. Or if you don't want any of that, you can choose an electronic gift card to Amazon or xplane.org store or simmarket.com. So if your name comes out of the fishbowl when we do the drawing toward the end of each month, you can choose any one item off of this list. If you get one of the merch items, I will ship it to you at my expense. So it is truly free to enter and play here. Free to win. If you choose one of the electronic gift cards, obviously, there's no shipping cost involved there. I'll either email it to you if it's Amazon or xplane.org store, or I'll send you a code right through Discord or Twitch Whispers if it's Sim Market that you choose. We reset all the entries after each drawing, and then we start collecting them in again for the month after. All right, there's our cruise altitude. We'll go ahead and get our seatbelt signs off. One final cabin pressure check. Cabin altitude still sitting right here at about 3,500 or thereabouts, and still climbing at the moment, but should be leveling off here any second. And the differential pressure is right at the top of its range, but still prior to the red mark, and that's normal. That's, like I said, it's about a third of the way up when you get 10,000. It's about 2/3 of the way up when you pass 18. Should be fully up when you get to cruise. And that way, it's the maximum difference between inside and outside pressure that the airplane can withstand. And that way, the cabin altitude is as low as possible in terms of the perceived, or the perception of altitude based on the air density in the passenger cabin. So for this flight, looks like we're sitting right about 4,000. It is indeed starting to level out. The differential pressure, as long as it stays below that red mark, you're good to go. So cabin pressure is operating normally for this flight. Readings from the flight deck with an update. We have reached our cruise altitude at 27,000 feet, and we've turned off the fasten seatbelt signs. We appear to be above the worst of the weather here, so we should have nice smooth air for you. We've turned off the fasten seatbelt signs. The cabin crew is going to come around with a fine selection of Red Bull products and baked Alaska for the dining service this evening. So do enjoy that, and we will give you an update on the weather in Ketchikan once we start our descent. But for now, do sit back, relax, and enjoy the dining service. Thanks again for flying with us on Alaska Airlines Flight 514 service to Ketchikan. Kenny Monster's closing up shop. Very good. Thank you for flying along with us this evening, or riding along with us, I should say. Baked Alaska is the dinner choice, guys. Baked Alaska. Come on, man. The map range up, yeah, so it's already starting to get cluttered. Our top of descent's only 80 miles away. This is a nice short flight, so let's go ahead and start looking at that approach into Ketchikan. You can kind of see what charts we may or may not need. We don't need the airport diagram at Juneau anymore. We don't need the obstacle departure or the description of the obstacle departure. We are going to just do almost a straight in to runway 11 at Ketchikan. Let us briefly get an update on the METAR there. I think we got it from SkyVector when we looked at it before, but let's look at it right here in the pilot client this time. 1406. So it's changed slightly, but it is still favoring runway 11, and it's a 6 knot slight right to left. 10 statute miles, so the visibility has increased. It was 6 or 7 previously when we were looking on SkyVector. We're still showing some light rain. Broken layer, 4,800, overcast layer at 10,000. So we do have a little bit of precipitation there. Altimeter is 3011, which I'm going to go ahead and put into our armed window on our altimeter. What's it, 3011? A nice high pressure. What are we saying to the passengers, though? It's temperature's 14, which is mid-50s. The mid-50s, mostly cloudy, broken layer at 48, overcast at 10,000. So mid-50s, mostly cloudy, and light rain, light winds. So in the harbor, it's 140 at 10. Runway observation, or airport observation 140 at 6. So doesn't really change too much for us. That's fine. We can work with that. And what's the common traffic advisory frequency? It'll be 123.6. So we're 22.8 now. We're monitoring guard on COM2 just in case a controller comes online. But if no controller comes online, we're going to be 123.6 for our operations in and around the airport. So we'll get that tuned in and ready to go. Always trying to be as ahead of the aircraft as we can. So let's look at that approach. First of all, let's make sure all the legs are in there, and if we do go missed, we're kind of straight out 124 to this Annette Island. Yeah, it means 305 feet per nautical mile to 4,000. Or 270 or 235. If you can't meet those, then you just do the localizer X-ray rather than the localizer Yankee. We're okay, or instead of the ILS Yankee. So apparently that has a higher minimum and an easier missed approach. We can do the climb out there. We're going to be nice and light since we burnt out most of our fuel by the time we're going to get here. We'll be nice and light. The minimum's 312. And missed approach is 5,100. So basically a straight out to 5,151. Very oddly specific altitude on both of our missed approaches tonight. The last one was 56. This one's going to be 51. 1093 and 115. Oh, well, first of all, let's check the FMC legs here. We're 40 miles from top of the descent. We got to hurry. Ogox, and then OCU, and then there's our runway. Put that into the fixed page. We'll put a 4-mile ring and a 10-mile ring around that so we know. The 10-mile ring you should start configured for landing if you haven't already. It means you start deploying flaps. 4-mile ring you should be fully configured for landing if you're not already. The 1093 and this approach 5100 is a net island. Yeah, so straight out Clam Cove and then a net island 117.1, and it looks like the hold is a 129. So 117.1 and 129 if we go missed. What was the course on the primary? 115. Minimums we said 312. Now we got to spin it all the way down there. Wish there was a faster way to spin that minimums down. 21, 20. I'll bump that map range down since we're starting to see stuff clutter the screen. We're real close to the top of the descent here. 312 is the minimum. We got to do the V speeds. We got to figure out turn off direction. We got to figure out auto brake. All right, so there's. Had to go eat some salmon for dinner, so yeah, I saw that you disappeared earlier, man. No, it's all good. So 312 is the minimums. Let's go ahead and get the. The 30 and 130, and so that's it. So 130 and 135 will be our V speeds, and we got the minimums. And what's the airport diagram look like? Pretty simple. We're landing 1-1. It'll be a left-hand turn off. It doesn't look like there's even a taxiway to turn off at midfield. 7,500-foot runway. And we're going to roll it to the end, so I'm going to put on just a minimum auto brake there. And let's just go ahead and say that we are cleared down to win that approach. The 4,100 is going to be our intercept, so I'm going to just go ahead and say we're cleared down to 4. You get an audible warning at minimum? Yeah, you do. It's a call out. approaching minimums, and then minimums, minimums. And that was actually a pretty good impression of it. It sounds a lot like what I just did. And we'll go to progress page there. Let's knock the map range down. And since we're coming up on top of the descent, we'll go ahead and get the seatbelt signs on. And we'll go ahead and get our passenger briefing done. What do we say? Mid-50s? Greetings from the flight deck with an update. We are just about to start our descent into Ketchikan, so we've turned the fasten seatbelt signs on. We ask that you return to your seats and fasten your seatbelts. The cabin crew is going to come around one final time to collect trash and take care of any last-minute needs. The weather in Ketchikan is currently in the mid-50s with mostly cloudy skies and light rain, light winds. We do expect that with the little bit of precipitation and the cloud layer that we have to come down through, it might get slightly bumpy, but we should be nice and safe for arrival in the Ketchikan with good visibility once we get below that cloud base. So not expecting any problems. If anything changes, of course, we'll keep you safe and we'll evaluate our options, but expecting a fairly routine arrival into Ketchikan. Expect to be on the ground in about 25 minutes, and thanks again for flying along with us on Alaska Airlines. Just about hit the top of the descent. Let's run through the approach briefing again, just to make sure I haven't missed anything. Approach frequency and course is set. Missed approach frequency and course is set. Missed approach altitude is reviewed as 5,100. We have reviewed the FMC for the legs and altitudes in the missed approach, and we have set our range rings. We checked our V speeds. 130 is V ref, 135 is V approach. The minimums are set at 312. Ceiling is, we expect some cloud bases of 4,800. We should be intercepting at 4,000, so should be through the cloud base by the time we commence the approach. But of course, with light rain, we'll have to evaluate the visibility as we go. It is a very, very slight right to left, 6-knot quartering crosswind. It's going to be a turn off to the left all the way down at the end. We have set a light auto brake because we got 7,500-foot runway with no intermediate turn-off points. And we will arm the spoilers once we are sure we no longer need them. And our approach briefing is complete. Okay, we have started down. Every time the map gets a little cluttered, we're going to just bump it back a little bit. Terrain radar is going to sweep again. Up the range here. But we do have a little precip scattered throughout the area. Doesn't look like anything too scary in our direct path, so we're okay here. Okay, we're coming up on 18,000. I'm going to get ahead of the game here and just go ahead and swap the local altimeter back in, so that the sooner you do that, the sooner the aircraft can adjust to the descent path. At descent forecast page, you can punch in some numbers, and that should mitigate that little change there as you switch over from one to the other. But it's not too bad. Normally it's not so egregiously different that it can't catch up, but there's just that little bit of change there when you switch from the standard to the local, if the local is significantly different than 2992. So, yeah, kind of, there are some things the real FMC does. I think this FMC can do if you punch in descent forecast with the local altimeter setting at your destination. You can kind of mitigate that little ripple there. But we're all good. The plane is now adjusted and we're okay. And once again, since we are, and I know that the plane does have a decel point up here, you know, it's going to hit the brakes prior to us getting too close. However, you know, I'm just going to start that slowing process down now. Make it to 240. And once again, because it had planned a nearly idle descent to get us down where it's getting us. It did not plan for this deceleration at this point, so it now needs my help to get the speed down. I'll leave my hand on this lever so I don't forget to stow it. And now that it's a little bit below the path, that's a good thing. That means it can now pitch up to recapture that path, and that means it can help you slow itself down. We're almost at 10,000 already. I'm going to go ahead and get all the forward-facing lights on, continuous ignition
need
on.
some pliers and set of 30-weight ball bearings.
Melvin's here.
Well, you need ball bearings.
We'll go ahead and
It's all
alert the
ball
cabin
bearings
crew.
nowadays.
Because it's pretty much going to be a straight in, so there's not going to be a lot of extra time here. Alright, so it already knew it was going to slow down once it was reaching 10. So it's got the path leveling just a little bit, and now we can get down to that 240. Uh-oh, Melvin's stream crashed, so I'm hopping in the back. Alright, well, we're just about getting ready to land in Ketchikan, sir. Good time to join. Go ahead and assume that they have reported that they are secure. As it is almost down to the speed I want it, we'll go ahead and stow the spoilers. Not going to arm them for arrival just yet, since I may still need them. Alright, below 10, cabin crew was alerted, chime is on, landing lights and turn off lights on, continuous ignition is on. I've gone ahead, since we're on CTAF, we're not going to get a landing clearance. I've already gone ahead and just turned the taxi light on, so it's typically forget to do that when I'm clearing myself, quote unquote, to land. Go ahead and switch over to Ketchikan's CTAF of 23.6. Say we're about 30 out straight in for 1-1. Ketchikan traffic, Alaska 514 to Boeing 737. We're more or less 30 out. We're going to do a straight in on the ILS 11 at Ketchikan. That's Strudel. Strudel has hit the follow button. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Typical show schedules Tuesdays and Fridays at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, 2300 Zulu Time. Not often flying modern aircraft on this channel, but you got a mix of vintage and modern. Tonight we're in the 737-700 series, so it's NGX. Strudel wasn't available. I had to settle with this. I could kind of make it out. All good. Welcome to the stream. Good to see you here. And since we're kind of coming straight in, it might be time, guys. Go ahead and start putting some predictions into the chat as far as the vertical descent rate at the moment the wheels touch runway surface. No bot command necessary for that on this particular channel. Just a number into the chat is fine. Positive or negative. We know that you mean a descent rate, whether or not you put the minus sign. So there you go. All right, I'm going to go ahead and give it some more spoiler. Get it down to the 210. But just a number into the chat is fine. No positive or negative. We'll know you mean a descent rate either way. No bot command is necessary. And the closest predictor will get an automatic entry into our bi-monthly landing rate raffle, which will be pulled toward the end of this month. We do that landing rate when we do toward the end of the the even numbered months. So August will be, toward the end of August will be the next one. Strudel is a Baltimore boy. Very good. Well, I'm down on the eastern shore of Maryland, but Baltimore area born and bred. I guess I'll say it that way. Melvin Leroy's out in Mountain Time Zone, so he's not really going to be able to pop over and join in. Alright, aircraft is starting to come down and meet the speed we wanted at. We're below 250. We can start getting flaps out. Go ahead and get that speed brake armed. And below 250, we can actually go all the way out to flaps 5, so we're going to go ahead and do that. And clear myself for the approach. Matter of fact, since we're intercepting the approach, I'm going to start slowing up to 170. I'm not going to be in a huge hurry to get to 170. But we can definitely start aiming for that. Ketchikan traffic, Alaska 514, 737. We're about 20 out straight in 11, Ketchikan. Oh, Sturtle's working on my S1 and ZDC. Okay, I think I might know who you are then. Did my sweatbox, went over a few things. Yeah, okay. Gotcha. I think I know who you are then. Very good. You used to go by a different name, but I got you. All good. Alright, we're down to 170. We got flaps 170. We can go flaps 15. And yeah, not quite descending on a glide slope just yet. Once we are, though, I'm going to go ahead and get the gear out and it'll stop yelling at me about it. I know. Alright, we'll go ahead and put those out. You're all good, sir. I appreciate it. Youth is wasted on the young, as they say. It's all good, though. I know I really do appreciate that. Good to see you back here, by the way. Never did find out if I'm related to that other guy. Yeah, I think we kind of established that you're not, or at least not to our knowledge. But it's all good. All right. Yeah, keep those predictions coming in, guys. We're coming up on about a 12, 13-mile final here. We'll keep 170 until we're closer to that 4-mile ring. And then we'll slow it to 135 as our V approach, and then 130 as our V ref. I'm going to run through landing checks real quick. I know it's kind of early, but we'll run through the landing checks now. Did I get it into approach mode? I did not. Okay. Well, that's fine. It's, yeah, it is on the glide path. Yeah, we're all good here. Alright, missed approach. Altitude 5100 set. We do have the gear down in green. Landing flaps, we're holding on. We got 2 more notches, and we'll do that at the 4-mile ring. Continuous ignition is on. Cabin crew can be alerted. It is basically a straight out if we go missed, and a left-hand turnout at the end if we make it down successfully. So landing checks are complete holding on landing flaps, and dogs no. Vancouver Center does not cover this. This is still part of Anchorage Center, so no Anchorage Center on. They're good on our own here. Ketchikan traffic, Alaska 514 is Boeing 737, and we're on a 9-mile final straight in for runway 11, Ketchikan. Alright friends, here we go. My airplane. Let's follow the flight directions just a little bit. We got the subscription there from Strudel. Good to thank you for the continued, for the support of the channel. Appreciate that. I am going to try and kind of pay attention to what I'm doing here for a second. Let's keep about 170, maybe 160. Going above. Let's get the pitch down. Alright, well, we'll go ahead and...
Caution, terrain.
Yeah, I see it.
Caution, terrain.
135, let's get slowed. Landing flaps coming. Power back in. Got the raid coming in right on short final. I'll have to check on that in just a few moments, guys. Sorry, I'm a little bit busy at the moment.
The little rascal has spirit?
Oh, it must be SimSeason.
Terrain.
Spirit?
Pull up.
Yes, he did, sir.
Terrain.
Hello.
Pull up.
We're right on glide slope.
Terrain. Pull up.
Oh.
Terrain.
Right on glide slope, right on localizer. Right on speed. I got the runway in sight. Minimum's 312, so we're all golden here. Alright, 130 is our ref speed. Let's not get too slow here.
Glide slope.
I'm fine on the glide slope. What are you talking about?
Glide slope.
I'm a half a dot low. Now I'm overcorrecting.
Minimum. Don't sink. Too low. Terrain. Too low. Terrain.
I'm fine. What are you talking about?
Terrain. Too low. Terrain. Too low. Terrain. Too low. Terrain. Too low. Terrain.
Well, our airplane didn't like it much. I felt okay about it, though. A little left to center line, but you know. Alright, there's 80 knots. Cancel the reversers. A bit of manual braking in. It wasn't quite better, but it worked for me. Visibility got a little dicier than was predicted, but we were good. Yeah, I was really kind of chasing the glide slope there at the end. I was trying to adhere to the warnings, but the warnings were kind of throwing me off a little bit, so I'll give myself a little bit of slack on that. Go ahead and cancel the spoilers and the flaps. Ketchikan traffic, Alaska 514, 737 is clear, runway 11, taxiing to the terminal. Ketchikan. So auto throttle's already off. Flight director, auto brake, minimums. Windscreen and probe heat. Landing lights, turn off lights. The APU on and started. Release cabin crew. Strobes can come off. Oops. What am I doing? Wrong one. Where's my strobe lights? Oh, there we go. Downward. There we go. Okay, let's get this thing rolling in. A couple of other things we want to do. We can turn off the weather and terrain radar. PA and RA back to just regular transponder mode. I think I got everything. Raven 717 says rainy flight. I like those. Are you like related to Eddie Rabbit? Oh no, that was I Love a Rainy Night. And I love a rainy night. All right, let's make sure I got everything. I know we had the raid from Sim Caesar. I know we got a whole bunch of folks saying hi. Let me just get taxied in. I'll say proper hellos to everyone. I'm sorry. Let me just run through flaps and spoilers, probe heat, windscreen, continuous ignition, weather radar, terrain radar, flight director's auto brake, minimums resets. I think I did that. Transponder, lights, and APU. Okay, I think I got everything on the taxi in. And again, we'll say proper hellos to all of you once I get turned in and parked here. Taxi light can come off. Yeah, I don't know what to say about the terrain warnings and the glide slope warning. It never really, I don't think it ever really kicked into approach mode. Well, no, it must have kicked into approach mode because it was capturing the glide path. It said GP. But this was an ILS approach, so it should have had a glide slope, not a glide path. So something was off about the way it captured the approach, and that may have played a role. I'm not 100% certain what happened there. Yeah, I know we're completely misaligned. This is just default scenery. There was not a freeware add-on package for Ketchikan on flightsim.to. I did check. So the markings are kind of misaligned with the jetway, and the marshallers having a conniption because I'm way off the mark there. But anyway, there we go. Parking brake can come on. And tell you what, let me say some hellos real quick to those of you who came over with the Sim Caesar raid. And Sim, thank you so much for the continued support of the channel. So let's say hello to Cold Nebo, Rommel01, Sim Caesar himself stopped in. We got PhD Halo. We got JG Mathis was already here. Tyra Goth is here. And who else popped over with the raid? Jamie EC says, this is too modern for you to be flying. I agree. And then Raven717, we already said hi to. So, all right, I think I caught everybody. And Sim, thanks again for supporting the channel, my friend. All right, let's get the turnaround done. We'll check on my predictions. We'll check on your predictions. And then we'll get a little bit of a wrap-up going in. Let's see. Taxi lights off. We did that. We can get the APU buses on. Now we get the APU bleed on, ISO valve on. So we are now supplying our own electricity and air conditioning, and that means we can go ahead and shut down the engines. Got parking brake on. We got blues and reds, so we're good. We can shut the engines down. As we come back up to the top, we get all the fuel pumps off. We get the hydroelectric pumps off. That's the one I forgot the first time around. Packs. We go ahead and come off because we're about to hook up the ground AC. Let us get the anti-collision light off, which you would ordinarily wait until the engines had completely spooled down, but we'll just do it. Wheel well lights can come on. Yeah, probably another gear inspection in order, although it wasn't too bad. Seatbelt signs off, and I did the chime off already on the way in, so we're good there. Let's jump down to the FMC and get to the menu. VATSIM actions. Let's get ground services. Let's get some wheel chocks in. Let's throw on a ground power. Let's throw on a ground AC. Let's go back here. Let's get to the doors. We'll get the entry door open. And doors and hatches open. Let's jump down to the bottom. And we can put that into standby mode, and we'll reset it to 2000. We'll jump back up top. We'll switch over to the ground power. And since we no longer need the APU, we can turn the bleed off, ISO valve off, and APU off. Left inner fuel pump also off. Alright, let's take a peek at my predictions first, friends, and then we'll take a peek at yours, okay? So, in terms of my predictions, and we're talking flight time and fuel, we know we got airborne pretty much right on time. We had 700 extra pounds after our first leg. We're saying that we were going to end at 10:40 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, so we're 5 minutes early. That's pretty good timing. And the fact that we were a dead-on straight in pretty much helped us out with that. 7,800 pounds left of fuel, and if we had the 700 extra, that should put us at 85. I'm going to say we got 87 or 88 left over. How did we do? Oh, 83. Interesting. Okay, so we were at flight level 270, not quite as fuel efficient as my calculations. But we still have 480 extra pounds and pretty much right on timing. So that all worked out fairly well. Now, did you guys predict as well as I did? Let us check and see. What was the descent rate at the moment the wheels touched runway surface? Well, again, higher than you normally see. But 282 is what registered, and let's see how you guys did. Where were the predictions? 282 being the actual. What was common wisdom? We got 215, 196, 155, 181, 212, 243. 243 being the highest so far. Then we got 200, 177, 155. Is 243 the highest one there? That Iowa Scotsman? Iowa Scotsman picking up another one. Well, at least we broke Heisenberg from his streak. He was kind of cleaning up while there. Iowa Scotsman picks up the win. If anybody guessed higher than 243, let me know if I'm missing something. But I do believe that 243 was the highest that was guessed. That's PAKT on 819, Mr. Iowa Scotsman. I'm going to run through again just to make sure. But you guys in the chat also let me know if you see one that's higher than 243. Give me a shout in all caps to let me know. Let me run through them again. 215, 196, 155, 181, 212, 243 was Iowa Scotsman. And then we had a few more after the raid came in, 200, 177, 155. Yeah, so there you go. Iowa Scotsman, you're our big winner for leg number 2. And again, friends, especially if you are new to the stream, we've got 2 raffle drawings that we do. They're both bi-monthly raffles, and then we alternate them. So what that means is we have a raffle drawing every single month happening on the channel. Raffle number 1 is what we call our alphabets points. So, JG Mathis, I owe you one of those. Let me get that entered in for you. Hang on. So that should do that. So how you enter that one is with our Twitch channel points, aka our alphabets points. You see the Alphabet's serial icon there at the bottom of the chat panel, and a button next to that that tells you how many of those you have. If you click on that button, you'll have the options to cash in 2,000 of those for one entry into the raffle. And if you save up and do 10,000, we'll give you a bonus entry. The 2,000 for one, 10,000 for six for the price of 5. That's how you enter the Alphabet's raffle, which is the one we pull toward the end of the odd-numbered months. That means the next of those will be toward the end of the month of September. The landing rate raffle, that's our other raffle, and that's the one that you just saw Iowa Scotsman get an entry to. That's whoever gets closest to the descent rate in terms of feet per minute at the moment the wheels touch runway surface. And that is the raffle that we pull toward the end of the even-numbered month. So that's the one that we're going to pull toward the end of this month being August. So there you go. And then every time we do a raffle drawing, whoever's name comes out of that fishbowl gets their choice of any one item off of the Slant Alpha prize vault list, which includes our branded merch items, the Slant Alpha t-shirt, the ball cap, mouse pad, coffee mug, or tote bag. And if you choose one of those, I ship that to you at my own expense, guys. This is totally free for you to enter and participate in, 100% all the way around. If you don't want any of my garbage, you can choose an electronic gift card to Amazon.com and get some garbage of your own. Or you can choose xplane.org store or sinmarket.com. So those are your choices. Choose any one item off of that list, then we reset all the entries and start collecting them again for the following drawing. All right. By the way, and those of you who, many of you who are subscribers to the channel, we truly appreciate your financial support in terms of the subscriptions and the gift subs and the cheer bits and the donations. The money that comes into this stream certainly does not pay for my living. Oh, there's Heisenberg. Yeah, you got unseated from your streak tonight, bud. Does not pay for my living, this stream, and I never intended it to, and it probably never will. But the money that comes into the stream funds those prizes and the other special giveaways that we do on the channel, and that includes things like the Super Bowl pool, the March Madness pool, anniversary streams, Christmas streams. We do all kinds of special giveaways, just sometimes milestones for subscribers and followers. So we do all kinds of special giveaways in addition to our monthly drawings, and it's the money that comes into those streams that provides those prizes that we do for you. So we truly appreciate everybody who supports the channel. If you're able to support the channel, we truly appreciate it. If you are not able to financially support the channel, best way for you to support the channel otherwise is by passing the word. If you guys really enjoy what we do here, please let your friends know to pop in and see us. We're on Tuesday nights and Friday nights, U.S. Eastern Time, 7 p.m., which is 2300 Zulu Time, Tuesday nights and Friday nights. Do a mix of flying for you in terms of our navigation style. Slant Alpha refers to that old school analog style of navigation. But we've branched out since we started the stream 7 years ago. We now fly a little bit of a mix for you. We do old school radio-based nav in the Piper Comanche from A2A, and also in the PMDG DC-6, the old school prop liner, 4-engine prop liner. That's what we're going to be flying for you on Friday. And then we do some conventional RNAV, some modern navigation in the Just Flight BAE-146, the 4-engine regional jet, with that UNS-1, that primitive RNAV. And then we do this aircraft here, the PMDG 737, which has, of course, very modern RNAV system. So that's the hangar, and we also do some VATSIM air traffic control for you as well. So please feel free to check out the full show schedule. It's underneath the About tab, and more complete version over on our Discord server. So not only can you see specifically what nights we're going to be on, because we do change up that schedule every now and then, mostly on that Tuesday and Friday rotation for the rest of this month, I think. But we do change up that rotation every now and then. We got special events or sometimes work or personal obligations that interfere. But check that show schedule out. Not only see which days we'll be on for sure, but you'll know what we're going to be up to on any given evening. On Friday, it's the Friday Night Ops event hosted by the Cleveland ARTCC Journey out of Detroit. Just a city boy born and raised in South Detroit, which, by the way, doesn't exist. We're going to be flying the DC-6 into and out of Detroit. We're going to be doing a little bit of an old school variation. We're going to now, when DC-6s flew to Detroit in the real world, they used to go to the old Detroit airport, which is now called Willow Run. So we're going to bend history a little bit. Yes, Cold Nebo, you probably want to go ahead and, if you ever want to see, go to VATUSA.net. Oops. VATUSA.net, Pilot Tools, Events Calendar, and you'll see Journey at the end. So this Friday, Journey Out of Detroit 3. It's a very good friend, Lauren, by the way, who writes all these crazy parody song lyrics for the events that Cleveland Air TCC hosts. So I didn't see Lauren in the chat tonight, but you guys know Lauren. Lauren's the one that typically writes these goofy parody songs. I know, right, Cold Nebo? Fantastic, isn't it? Some love for Lauren. 300 bits for Lauren, Cold Nebo. Thanks so much for that. Appreciate it. But anyway, so this is the story for Friday. We are going to do a DC-6 flight. Again, we're going to bend history a little bit. We're going to go to the modern Detroit airport rather than the old school Detroit airport, just to give the Detroit controllers some fun sequencing challenges with our slow-ass propeller airliner mixing in with all the jet traffic. But we're going to go to Louisville, up to Detroit, and then Detroit to Baltimore. Those will be our two legs on Friday's stream in the PMDG DC-6. So that will be the plan starting at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, 2300 Zulu Time on Friday. Once again, the full show schedule is underneath the About tab. It's also over on our Discord server. Bought that thing 3 years ago and flown it like 3 times. Oh, I fly it all the time on this channel. We have a good old time with that. That there bird. All right, let me finish up the shutdown of the aircraft, guys, and then we will kind of do a little bit of a wrap-up and see who we're going to send the raid over to. Let us jump back up top, and we'll get the emergency lights off. The yaw damper can come off. IRS knobs can come off. Logo position and wheel well lights can come off. Ground power bus can come off. Battery can come off. Jump down here. We'll get all the press and hold menu, FS actions, doors. Yeah, we'll close the entry door obviously after we've made our way out of the aircraft. We'll get all those doors closed. And back over to ground services. And we'll go ahead and release the lines, but we'll leave the wheel chock set. And then that should go ahead and do it. I didn't do too bad with the parking there, actually. No, I need to hear the song. I know, Gold Debo. Yeah, anytime you see one of Lauren's event descriptions, you end up getting a song stuck in your head. We'll have to send her a thank you for that, right? Yeah, pretty good stuff. All right, so we are done. So we talked about the Discord. The YouTube channel is on the lower left-hand side of the screen, and that is where we archive many of our old flight broadcasts, but you can also check out our playlist called VATSIM Tutorials there. So, we do all this stuff on the VATSIM network, guys. If you're considering getting on the network with us, but you're intimidated by what you need to know in terms of what to say to controllers or how to put a route together, how to fill out a flight plan with all the right equipment codes, check out that playlist called VATSIM Tutorials over on our YouTube channel. We got some good resources there you can check out, and you're more than welcome to ask any questions in the comments right there on those videos, or else hunt us down in the Discord channel and get some questions answered that way. But yeah, and the Discord's a great place to keep in touch. If you want to chat or ask any questions about anything that you saw or heard this evening, or just saying hi, and especially if you came in late and I didn't get a chance to say hi to you in real time, come find us on the Discord. Great way to keep in touch in between streams, so please feel free to do that. All right, flashing across the bottom of the screen is the ad for Flight Sim Expo 2026. It'll be the 7th edition of Flight Sim Expo. It'll be the first one that I am not able to attend in person, unfortunately. It will be happening out in the Twin Cities area. It's going to be at the St. Paul River Center. It is June, I believe it's 12, 13, and 14 out there. The dates are at the bottom of the screen, or will be momentarily. And FlightSimExpo.com is the place you can go to find out more information. It's a 3-day event that is essentially the mecca of flight simulation enthusiasts. It's a 2-day trade show with pretty much every hardware and software vendor involved in flight simulation that you can think of that'll be out there. And all kinds of seminars, presentations, panel discussions happening. And then Friday's event is like an all-afternoon new product announcement event. So it's a really cool thing. In addition to all of that, 2,500 people that are all sharing your same passions and interests. So it's a great place to make friends. St. Paul, Minnesota, right there near Minneapolis, the Twin Cities. St. Paul River Center in Minnesota is going to be the next one. Harder on the vendors to travel, but I like the show moving around, says Cold Nebo. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. You know, sometimes, you know, they try to keep it mixed up in terms of whether it's East Coast, West Coast, Central. They've had them in Las Vegas. They've had them in Orlando. They've had them in Houston. This most recent one was Providence, Rhode Island. They had one in San Diego. So, yeah, it's a really great show that hopefully lots of people will get a chance to get to at least a few times. And lots and lots of fun. In addition to everything that I said, it's so much of a social event for all of us that make friends over these VATSIM networks, these Twitch live streams, these other communities that we're involved in. It's the chance to put faces to names when you get out there and see everybody in person. So absolutely blast, and I hope that you all will get a chance to attend. Like I said, I'll miss this one, but I'll hopefully catch you in 2027. But it's a great time. If you can make it out there, it is certainly worth it. All right, that will wrap it up for us then this evening, friends. Ross Hyperu is just about to land. I was going to shoot a raid over to him, but he looks like he's literally on like a half-mile final, so he's probably wrapping up for the evening. Let me see who we got. Oh, Flockstrot. Let's see what Flockstrot's up to. He's flying. He's doing some general aviation style flying. Some sort of little, I don't know if it's a Carbon Cub or a Mall or some little bush flying plane that he's doing. So we'll send you over to Flockstrot. You guys can check him out, okay? Surprised I don't have the payware for this one. Yeah, I don't do a lot of payware scenery. There's some pretty decent freeware sceneries available. I don't do a lot of payware scenery. Anyway, let's get the raid started to Flockstrot. Make sure you tell him Slant Alpha sends his love. And guys, we will see you back here Friday. We'll be in Louisville, Kentucky. We'll be in the PMDG. I keep saying that. PMDG 737 is what we're in tonight. We'll be in the cockpit of the Douglas DC-6 from PMDG, starting the night in Louisville, Kentucky, 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time on Friday. Between now and then, friends, I do ask that you have a happy, healthy, and safe travels in all of your adventures, and we'll talk to you then. Take care. Good night.